Established in 2004, Construction Research Institute of Malaysia, mostly known as CREAM, is a subsidiary of Construction Industry Development Board, or CIDB, that holds the responsibility over all matters related to the planning, implementation, and management of the research and development projects and related activities. With its mission to make CREAM globally recognized as the leading institute for research and development, R&D, and its vision to meet the strategic needs of R&D in the Malaysian construction industry, CREAM is committed to fulfilling its 5 objectives, that is, to fund, manage, and execute research activities and programs, offer tests and laboratory facilities for heavy structure engineering and building materials that focus on IBS structures and components, establish R&D cooperation with stakeholders in the domestic and overseas construction industry, earn funds and offer ventures for R&D activities and programs, and distribute the latest technology and R&D products to the national construction industry players through promotion, patent, and commercialization. CREAM serves as a key center that provides 3 main functions, namely research and development, testing of building materials and technical services, and assessment and certification. CREAM's main focus is the R&D program, which covers various fields. Its objective is to provide benefits to the progress of the nation's construction industry. The research themes cover 5 priority areas. They are the structural and material engineering, innovation and digitization technology, asset and facility management, environmental sustainability, productivity. Quality of service has always been CREAM's core value. This is to ensure that the Malaysian construction industry's strategic R&D needs are met. CREAM also provides testing services for material and building structure samples at its laboratory, Makmal Kerja Raya Malaysia, or MKRM. The purpose of this testing service is to assess quality and safety, as well as to improve materials and construction samples to meet the standards set. CREAM also offers services and other technical aspects such as inspection and sampling of imported building materials entering the country's ports. CREAM will conduct forensic investigations on construction sites in the event of failures or accidents. CREAM is pleased to announce that the MKRM has been expanded to Sabah and Sarawak, and that it is now ready to assist industry players in Borneo with construction material and structural testing in accordance with CIDB Act 520. CREAM Certification Services, CCS, provides construction certification services primarily for building materials listed in the CIDB Act 520. CCS performs an audit on the materials used in the production of product certification to ensure that the materials listed in Act 520 meet the standards. CCS has gained recognition from the Malaysian Standards Department in August 2018. In 2021, CREAM was recognized as a Construction Assessment Center by CIDB. This recognition has enabled CREAM to evaluate and rate construction projects. The evaluation covers 4 areas: quality, QLASIC, safety, chassis, green building, MICRES, infrastructure, sustainable infrastar. CREAM is also responsible to carry out Certificate of Approval, COA, which is a certificate issued by CIDB to ensure that all imported construction products must meet the specified requirements of Malaysian Standard MS and other approved international standards. The issuance of the COA is in accordance with the Custom Act 235, 1967, Prohibition on Import, Amendment Number 2, Order 2014, to ensure the quality of imported construction products. To better serve the stakeholders in the national construction industry, CREAM established the Construction Industry Consulting Division, which focuses on industry networking and collaboration, as well as consulting services. The division aims to serve as a reference center and innovation hub for the Southeast Asian construction industry, ensuring economic and social responsibility in construction. CREAM is focused to be a leading-edge research institute for technology innovations in the construction industry, to act as a one-stop center for product inspection, testing, and certification services, to elevate safety, health, environment, and quality of the construction industry, to build partnerships with the industry stakeholders and researchers while exploring and encouraging the development of a knowledge-based industry.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and very good morning everyone. Welcome to CREAM webinar series 2023. Thank you so much for spending your Wednesday morning with us. My name is Intan Diana and I'll be your MC and moderator for today's webinar. So before that, I would like to introduce to you our program, CREAM Webinar Series 2023 is actually a program organized by us, Construction Research Institute of Malaysia, and it is a part of our efforts to initiate conversations on issues, challenges, opportunities, and also initiatives for the construction industry and beyond. This webinar series is a monthly program, and we will have different themes for different months. So for September, our theme is enforcement on scaffolding and falsework for safer construction sites. And today, we will be talking about regulations on scaffolding and falsework in Malaysia. So for your information, we actually received an overwhelming response for this month's webinar, and we really appreciate your support. Yesterday, we had our first session where we discussed on the Act, CIDB Act 520, and also Perakuan Pematuhan Standard or PPS, and there were a lot of questions from the participant. And today, I would like to also welcome all of you to ask as many questions as possible because we have 4 experts with us today to help you. All right. So before we get started, just a little housekeeping. We will have a Q&A session after the end of the webinar, meaning after the first presentation. And if you have any questions, if you have any questions, please drop your questions into the chat box, okay? And I will bring them up during the Q&A sessions later. So without further ado, I would like to invite our first presenter, technologist Ahmad Marwan bin Muhammad. He is a senior assistant manager in the enforcement division of CIDB Malaysia. He has over 25 years of experience working in the construction industry, and he has been working with CIDB Malaysia since 1999. He graduated with Bachelor Science in Quantity Surveyor from University Technology Mara, UiTM in Shah Alam. He is a registered professional technologist from Malaysia Board of Technologies, MBOT. He is also the Board of Management Institute Quality Malaysia, IQM, since 2011. A graduate member of Board of Quantity Surveyors, BQSM, Royal Institution of Surveyor Malaysia, RISM, and Institute Value Management Malaysia, IVMM. So, Technologist Marwan, you can start your presentation now. Thank you. Okay, sorry, that is not your mic is on mute. Turn on your mic first. Okay.
Okay, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan selamat pagi tuan-tuan. Terima kasih kepada Puan Moderator, Puan Intan Diana. Okay, saya rasa slide saya dah nampak kan?
Dia nampak, cuma boleh buat full screen.
Screen Okay.
Okay, alright.
Okay. Selamat pagi tuan-tuan semua. Okay, seperti yang Puan Moderator telah introduce saya lah. Okay, nama saya Ahmad Marwan bin Muhammad. Bertugas di sektor penguasaan CIDB Ibu Pejabat lah. So pada pagi ini saya akan present berkenaan dengan penguasaan terhadap penggunaan pelancah dan Falsework. Okay, so presentation saya bahagikan kepada 5 isi kandungan lah. Iaitu yang pertama berkenaan dengan latar belakang dan peranan CIDB. Kemudian kita akan tengok secara ringkas lah berkenaan dengan Akta 520 pindaan 2011 lah. Seterusnya tajuk kita yang ketiga adalah berkenaan dengan Scaffolding dan Falsework. Yang keempat adalah berkenaan dengan kewajipan kontraktor lah sebagaimana termaktub di dalam Akta 520 Seksyen 34B. Dan akhir sekali kita akan buat kesimpulan lah. Okay. Ini latar belakang CIDB secara umumnya. Okay. Mungkin semalam dah cerita sikit pasal berkenaan dengan Akta 520. So, Akta 520 atau kita panggil Akta Lembaga Penggunaan Industri 1994. Okay. Adalah satu akta yang telah diluluskan oleh Parlimen Malaysia lah. Yang mana akta ni bertujuan untuk mentadbir dan menubuhkan kita panggil CIDB lah. Yang mana dia menjalankan fungsi-fungsinya berkaitan dengan industri pembinaan. Okay. Dan pada tahun 2011, Akta CIDB pada tahun 1994 telah dipinda dan diluluskan lah pada tahun 2011 dan pada tahun 2015 pindaan Akta CIDB berkuat kuasa. Okay, bermaksud lebih kurang 2011 telah diluluhkan di Parlimen dan hanya pada tahun 2015 akta yang baru diperkasakan lagi lah, telah diluluskan di Parlimen dan industri telah diberi tempoh 12 bulan lah itu untuk dia punya tempoh peralihan lah, kita panggil transition period. Okey, seterusnya secara umumnya, okey, fungsi CIDB di bawah akta hampir sama dengan sebelum ni pun, terbagi kepada 3 lah. Satu berkenaan dengan regulatory, kemudian kuasa sebagai penasihat dan kuasa untuk membangunkan industri pembinaan Malaysia. Okey, so kita tengok apa dia kuasa yang diberi di bawah regulatory. So di bawah kuasa regulatory ada 5 perkara yang kontraktor kena patuh lah. Yang pertama, dia mendaftar dan mengakredit kontraktor. So tidak ada seorang pun boleh mengaku janji untuk menjalankan apa-apa kerja pembinaan, melainkan dia mempunyai perakuan pendaftaran yang sah dengan lembaga lah. Okey, itu bermaksud dia mendaftar. So kegagalan untuk mendaftar, tindakan boleh diambil lah kepada kontraktor tersebut, iaitu kita boleh compound kontraktor tersebut minimum 10,000, maksimum 100,000 lah. Dan kita juga mengakredit syarikat-syarikat kontraktor, iaitu dan melalui program yang kita panggil SCORE, yang mana program tadi kita bagi rating lah, 1 star, 2 star, 3, 4 star sampailah 5 star yang paling tinggi lah. Okay, itu adalah program yang tadi. Kemudian kita mendaftar dan mengakredit kontraktor. So macam mana CIDB mendaftar personal binaan tadi. So kita adakan khusus asas keselamatan dan kesihatan pekerjaan lah. Kita panggil ataupun SICW, Safety Induction Course for Construction Worker. So bila dia telah daftar, dia mempunyai satu kad perakuan pendaftaran personal binaan lah, ataupun tuan-tuan kenal dia sebagai nama kad hijau lah. Okey. Dan selepas dia mendaftar, dia kena diakredit mengikut trade dia lah. So secara umumnya di bawah jadual ketiga atau 520 ada 25 trade lah yang dikategorikan di bawah personal binaan lah. Terdiri daripada pekerja mahir, penyelia lah. Tuan-tuan boleh Google tengok senarai personal binaan di bawah jadual ketiga atau 520. So seterusnya yang ketiga yang kita punya fokus lah, sebab tu dia boldkan iaitu untuk mengawal selia pemantauan standard bagi kerja-kerja binaan lah, dan bahan-bahan binaan. Okey, nanti kita akan tengok. Kemudian mengawal selia pelaksanaan IBS lah dalam industri pembinaan. Dan satu lagi yang kita akan cover adalah berkenaan dengan mengawal selia pelaksanaan bagi kerja-kerja pembinaan yang berkualiti dan selamat. So fokus kita pada hari ini adalah untuk nombor 3 dan nombor 5 lah. Okey, ini secara umum je. So ini adalah kuasa-kuasa regulatory mendaftar, mengakredit kontraktor lah. So dia memproses secara self declaration. Kemudian kita ada kita panggil CCA lah, Contractor Compliance Audit, yang mana kita boleh panggil kontraktor untuk hadir ke pejabat CIDB untuk kita semak dokumen-dokumen yang kontraktor self declare tadi, sama ada dokumen tadi adalah benar ataupun tidak lah. Okey, so kegagalan untuk untuk tak patuhlah kepada kita punya audit tadi. Okey, kita boleh ambil tindakan lah kepada kontraktor tadi, sama ada tindakan pendakwaan, compound ataupun penalti lah, ataupun apa-apa tindakan yang difikirkan sesuai lah. Okey, ni yang skor tadilah. Kemudian kita ada accredit kontraktor melalui program SCORE. Untuk G1 sahaja kita panggil dia MCORE, Micro. Okey, dan G2 sehingga G7 kita panggil dia SCORE. Itu yang tuan-tuan dapat bintang tu. Okey, seterusnya kuasa mengakredit personal binaan. So saya cakap tadi mengenai program kad hijau. Okey, sebelum ni khusus kita buat secara fizikal dan online, cuma ada sedikit masalah sekarang ni, khusus kita hanya buat secara fizikal lah, ataupun e-training ada lagi saya rasa. Kemudian semua data-data tadi kita akan link lah. Kalau lokal kita akan link dengan Jabatan Pendaftaran Negara. Kalau untuk pekerja asing kita akan link dia dengan data MyIMM lah. Okey. Dan seterusnya kita juga buat penguasaan secara menggunakan online, menggunakan data daripada Jabatan Imigresen Malaysia. Okey, so sekarang ni banyak juga kita telah ambil tindakan lah kepada kontraktor, iaitu pekerja tu dah lama dekat Malaysia tapi masih gagal lah untuk mendaftarkan pekerja ataupun mempunyai kad hijau lah kat perakuan pendaftaran personal binaan tadilah. So ini last ni benefit je lah. Okay, benefit dia cover insurans 24 jam worldwide lah. Iaitu insurans yang CIDB bagi kepada pemegang-pemegang kad pendaftaran personal binaan tadi secara automatik. Secara automatik lah. So jumlah yang cover kalau kematian akibat kemalangan dia akan cover 21,500 lah and so on lah. Kita hanya akan cover PA sahaja, personal accident sahajalah. Okey, seterusnya tajuk kita yang merah tu dia colour, okey, iaitu mengawasi lia standard. So sekarang ni lebih kurang 31 lah standard ataupun kita panggil dia CIS. Tuan-tuan boleh pergi ke website CIDB dan boleh tengoklah kita ada keluarkan construction industry standard lah. So construction industry standard ni adalah satu dokumen standard, okay, yang di moderate oleh CIDB dengan kerjasama daripada industri lah. So ada industri, ada wakil persatuan kontraktor, ada wakil daripada pemaju, ada wakil daripada others government agency lain lah. So untuk kawas lia bahan ni dia ada dalam jadual keempat atau 520 yang melibatkan 13 kategori bahan. Jumlah bahan semua yang terlibat adalah lebih kurang 90 bahan lah. Okay. So semua bahan-bahan ni tadi perlu comply dengan standard-standard mengikut jenis bahan tadi lah. Sama ada dia dapatkan kita panggil PPS lah, Perlakuan Pematuhan Standard, sebagaimana yang telah diterangkan pada hari semalam lah oleh bahagian bahan binaan CIDB lah. Okey, kemudian yang keempat, mengawasi lia sistem IBS, iaitu projek yang lebih daripada 50 juta. Okey, yang mana dia keluarkan sijil impact lah. Sijil impact ni pun adalah salah satu daripada kita punya standard lah. Dan last sekali, untuk mengawasi lia kerja pembinaan yang berkualiti dan selamat lah, adalah menjadi tanggungjawab CIDB untuk memastikan bahawa industri pembinaan ini selamat. So sekiranya kita tak nak lah berlakunya kemalangan, tapi sekiranya berlaku kemalangan, pihak CIDB akan menjalankan siasatan lah, termasuk siasatan forensik, dan kita akan periksa diberi kuasa untuk dibawa atas untuk kita stop work mana-mana kerja pembinaan yang apa yang cakap kita panggil kerja pembinaan tadi mendatangkan risiko kepada awam. Mana kita ada kuasa untuk stop work lah. Okey, ini adalah standard yang dikeluarkan oleh CIDB ni pada September pada September 2021. Jadual keempat telah dikeluarkan, ni warta Kerajaan Persekutuan lah, yang telah diwartakan oleh dengan persetujuan Menteri Kerja Raya pada masa itu. So terkeluarlah satu jadual yang kita panggil jadual keempat. Okay, sebenarnya jadual ni telah dikeluarkan sebelum ni, tapi pada tahun 2021 jadual ni telah dikemaskini dan dipindalah. Kita buat penambahbaikan. So tadi yang menjadikan kepada 13 kategori dan 90 jenis bahan binaan lah. Okay, so kalau saya takkan fokuskan semua jenis bahan. So kita punya skop pada hari ini adalah berkenaan dengan perancah dan falsework lah. So yang mana kalau tuan-tuan tengok dekat slide saya, okay, boleh kita tengoklah di bawah produk yang ke-12 iaitu produk besi dan keluli, ada satu item iaitu di bawah struktur dan besi tuan dan barang lain. Okey, perkara 3 iaitu berkenaan dengan perancah. Okey, scaffolding. Okey, ini adalah list standard yang dikeluarkan di bawah jadual keempat tadi. kebanyakannya pakai MS146 lah. Dash tu adalah berkenaan merujuk kepada jenis scaffolding yang kita pakai lah. Kalau dash 1 tu A-frame, dash 2 tu modular, dash 3 tu adalah tubular lah. Okay, dan last sekali kalau tuan-tuan tengok dekat bawah ni, kita ada standard yang kita panggil CIS 22 lah. Okay, nanti kita akan tengok apa tu CIS 22. Okay, ni next sambungan dia. Ni bahagian yang ke-11. Dia panggil penyangga sementara ataupun kita dalam bahasa mudah kita panggil dia falsework lah. Okay, so falsework ni dinyatakan juga standard dekat sini, MS EN 1065. Kemudian kita pakai BS juga, EN 16031. Kita ada satu lagi, kita panggil CIS 23. So nanti kita akan tengok apa tu CIS 23. Okay, so ni secara ringkas apa yang saya cerita tadi. So pada September 2021, satu perkeliling baru telah dikeluarkan lah. Okay, yang mana kita memaklumkan bahawa jadual keempat ni telah dipinda. Okay, dalam pindaan baru tu kita masukkan 2 item. Okay, untuk bahagian besi sajalah. Okay, iaitu kita masukkan yang apa yang telah CIDB develop lah. Iaitu kita telah develop CIS 23, Safe Use of Falsework in Construction. Seterusnya kita ada standard CIS 22. Ini salah ni. Safe Use in Scaffolding in Construction. Safe Use ni dia second hand. Okay. Dan dalam masa yang sama juga kita ada sebut tadilah MS1462 lah untuk metal scaffolding. Okay, sebab dekat Malaysia kita tak macam negara lain lah. Kita kebanyakannya kita pakai metal. Okay, kalau dekat China ke ada yang pakai buluh, ada yang pakai kayu lagi. Okay, tapi dekat Malaysia kita kebanyakannya kita pakai metal. Okay, ni saya tunjukkan standard MS142. Okay, dash 1 tadi dipanggil prefabricated scaffold lah, iaitu specification for steel frame scaffolding. Okay, untuk makluman tuan-tuan, standard ni sebenarnya dah ada 2. Saya selalu je, benda ni orang bertanya, adakah benda ni baru? So untuk makluman tuan-tuan dekat sini, kalau tuan-tuan tengok saya highlightkan dekat sini, okay, ini adalah Department of Standard Malaysia, dikeluarkan adalah pada tahun 2012. CIDB hanya keluarkan CIS pada tahun 2021 sahaja. Okey. So benda ni bukan baru. Dalam Malaysia standard telah dinyatakan secara jelas copyright pada tahun 2012 dan dia second version dia panggil. Okey, second version iaitu kita keluarkan lagi pada tahun ini Department Standard lah Malaysia lah. Okey, yang keluarkan pada tahun 2021. Okey. So saya harap dapat menjelaskanlah kepada tuan-tuan semua berkenaan dengan Malaysia Standard. Okay, kenapa tak boleh pakai, kenapa sebenarnya dekat Malaysia ni undang-undang sebenarnya dah lama. Cuma diberi peluang untuk pihak kontraktor untuk terimalah benda tu. Okey, so kita tengok skop penguasaan perancah oleh pihak CIDB lah. Okey, so tajuk kita ini ada 2, satu scaffolding, satu falsework. Okey, dia ada mission dia lah. Okey, satu yang kita panggil dia PPS ataupun perakuan pemantauan standard. Okey, yang ni skop dia lebih kepada kita nak check quality produk. Kita check quality produk. Dan satu lagi yang kita panggil dia penyalahgunaan perancah sebagai falsework. Okey, perancah sebagai falsework okey, tak ada masalah. Cuma disalahgunakan. Apa yang dimasukkan dia sebagai penyalahgunaan perancah sebagai falsework? Okey, yang ni biasanya melibatkan berkenaan dengan isu keselamatan. Okey. Soalnya kita tengok. Okey. Secara umumnya kita punya cerita pasal Falsework dan scaffolding tadi, sebenarnya perkara itu jatuh dalam kategori temporary work. Okey, setiap projek seperti yang kita sedia maklumlah, untuk membina satu bangunan, kita memerlukan kerja-kerja sementara lah. Okey, so kita panggil dia temporary works. Okey, dan kerja temporary work ni sebenarnya untuk makluman tuan-tuan, kita ada 10 perkara lah. Kita ada crane, kita ada fasad, kita ada hoarding, timber, formwork, trench, bosses, transit pile, trench support dan sebagainya. Okey, tapi kita punya fokus pada hari ini ada 2 perkara saja, iaitu berkenaan dengan falsework dan scaffolding. Okey, so kita go. Okey, scaffolding ni seperti gambar tuan-tuan pun tahulah kan. Ada orang panggil staging, ada orang panggil scaffolding. Macam-macam lah. So apa purpose dia? Scaffolding ni adalah tujuan dia adalah untuk provide temporary safe working platform. Okey, di kategori untuk kita pasang dia, untuk buat maintenance semasa pembinaan, untuk repair, sebagai access, untuk jalan kemudahan lah. Dan seterusnya untuk kita buat inspection. Okey, kemudian staging ni bukan hanya digunakan dalam bidang construction sahaja. Kalau tuan-tuan tengok dekat konsert pun scaffolding pun pakai. Scaffolding pun pakai untuk konsert, dibuat stage, untuk gimmick, letak spotlight dan sebagainya. Okey, so scaffolding ni pula kita tengok dia ada beberapa jenis, ada 3 jenis lah. Okey, so dekat Malaysia ada 3 je. Kita semua pakai yang besi punya. Satu yang kita panggil prefabricated steel frame scaffolding ataupun lebih mudah dikenali sebagai A-frame. Bentuk dia A lah. Yang seperti gambar tadi. Okey, kemudian kita ada modular scaffold system. Dan yang ketiga kita ada tubular scaffold system and fitting lah. Dia modular dengan tubular dia sama je, cuma modular dia masuk dia modular, saiz dia sama. Tubular ni saiz dia tak sama. Ada panjang, ada pendek. Itu je beza dia, modular dan tubular. Okey. So ni kita tengok berkenaan dengan A-frame ni tadi. So A-frame ni memang common lah. Banyak digunakan dalam industri. Okey, dia ada barang-barang dia lah. Part dia, cross brace lah, jet base lah dan sebagainya. Okey, so apa yang berlaku dekat sini, dia kena comply dengan standard, kita panggil MS1462-1. Seperti yang saya telah tunjukkan tadilah pada tahun 2012. Dan dalam masa yang sama, scaffolding ni kena patuh kepada standard lah yang CIDB keluarkan, iaitu standard CIS 22 dan CIS 23. Okey. So ni kita tengok yang kedua, jenis yang tubular ataupun coupler dipanggil. Okey, ni yang jenis saiz tak sama tadilah. Okey, dipasangkan panjang pendek dan sebagainya. Yang ni dia tertakluk kepada standard yang kita panggil MS1462-2-2-2. -2, kemudian dia ada pecahan lagi, -1, 2, 3 lah. Okey, ini adalah bentuk modular, dia tak sama panjang, tak compare dengan modular. Okey, modular ni maksud modul ni sama, standard. Okey, vertical, horizontal, okey, dia pakai cut block system and staircase tower lah. Okey, yang ni pakai 1462-3. Okey, so dia part-parts dia lah. Ni technical lah. So kita tak payah touch pun tak apa. Okey, seterusnya kita tengok. Ini adalah CIS 22. Dia panggil Product Conformity for Use Scaffolding in Construction lah. Maknanya scaffolding yang second hand. Okey, itu bermaksud CIS 22. Okey, cuma untuk makluman tuan-tuan semua, CIS 22 dan CIS 23 tahun 2021 telah dipinda. Telah dipinda lagi. Di-upgrade lah. Dan ada standard baru CIS 2022 dan CIS 2023 version 2023. Dah keluar dah. Cuma penguatkuasaan dia hanya pada tahun depan. Ada di industri terkeliru, ada bahagian bahan binaan keluarkan satu perkeliling. Dia kata, oh ni kuasa tahun depan ni. Sebenarnya salah. Salah. Dia ingat kuasa tahun depan. Yang tu yang version baru dikuatkuasakan, tapi dah keluar dah. Cuma belum dikuatkuasakan. Macam saya cakap tadi, CIDB bagi industri untuk familiar dulu dengan standard tu, dan tahun depan kita akan kuatkuasakan. Okey, so kita tengok pula Falsework. Falsework, okey. So kita tengok definisi jenis dan standard serta Falsework. Okey. So ini adalah definition of Falsework lah. Falsework ataupun kita panggil kerja topang lah, penyangga sementara tadi dalam bahasa Melayu adalah satu temporary structure yang digunakan untuk menyokong permanent structure. Sehinggalah permanent structure tadi boleh berdiri dengan sendirinya. Itu maksud dia Falsework lah. Okey, untuk Falsework ni, okey, dia ada 3 jenis. Okey, satu yang kita panggil aluminium. Yang kedua kita panggil dia steel. Dan yang ketiga kita panggil dia untuk heavy duty system. Okey, so ada beberapa standard yang digunakan untuk buat Falsework tadi ni. Okey, iaitu yang pertama, inilah kod-kod dia. BS 5975, BS 12812, BS 12813 dan CIS 23. Okey, even tu kalau tuan-tuan tengok, pihak JKKP pun ada keluarkan standard juga sebenarnya. Dia tak silap saya di garis panduan pemasangan perancah. Jika macam itulah. Saya tak masukkan dalam kita punya slide pada hari inilah, tapi tuan-tuan boleh tengok Google dekat website DOS memang ada. Sebab biasanya isu lah macam saya cakap tadi, common dekat Malaysia akan berlakunya kemalangan semasa pembinaan. Biasa kalau tuan-tuan boleh tengok data dari pihak-pihak DOS ataupun data daripada pihak CIDB sendiri, biasanya kategori kemalangan pertama jatuh daripada tempat tinggi. Hari kemarin ada satu kemalangan dekat Pulau Pinang, jatuh daripada tempat tinggi, mati. So itu salah satulah. Dan yang kedua berlakunya keruntuhan lah. Banyak cerita pasal runtuh-runtuh lah. Cuma yang paling glamour sikit runtuh ni dekat Malaysia ni, cerita Highland Tower, kemudian kita cerita pasal Cambridge, runtuh semasa pembinaan melibatkan Falsework. Kemudian kita apa lagi runtuh, banyaklah projek. Sama ada tuan-tuan apa ni maklum ke tak maklum je lah. Saya memang ada data tu. That's why saya boleh share dengan tuan-tuan lah. Okey, kemudian kita ada standard design. Dia ada standard untuk Falsework lain, kita ada standard untuk design lain. Okey, standard untuk design ni yang diguna pakai lah. Iaitu kita ada Code of Practice for Temporary Works and Permissible Stress Design for Falsework. Dia kena comply. Ini Malaysia tak ada lagi, so kita pakai yang British Standard lah banyak. Kemudian kita pakai BS 12812 tadi. Falsework Performance Required and General Design. So secara umumnya kerja-kerja prosedur melibatkan scaffolding dengan Falsework ni, kebanyakan kontraktor dia mengambil ringan. Dia mengambil ringan berkenaan dengan perkara ini disebabkan oleh sebab benda ni by end of the construction dia akan buka. So nama pun temporary works, so dia akan buat seminimum yang mungkin. Kalau kita tengok data lah, part temporary works memang akan selalu berlaku kemalangan. Sebab dia buat just untuk end product, dia tak buat untuk temporary work tu, dia take seriously lah. Okay, yang mana dia macam kita tengoklah orang meniaga apa kan, dia akan buat cantik-cantik, end product dia memang cantik, tapi dia proses kan, dia tak ambil kisah pun dia proses. Yang penting end product dia cantik. Okay, so ni kita tengok CIS 23. Okay, dia panggil Schedule of Falsework in Construction Industry lah. So tuan-tuan boleh tengok dekat sini, yang mana kita ada keluarkan standard lah. Tadi CIS 22 dan 23. So ni ada guideline. Guideline. So apa tujuan ni? So apa yang tak boleh sebenarnya semasa dalam menggunakan Falsework ni. Okay, yang tak boleh adalah digunakan A-frame tadi. Sebab A-frame kita dah tengok tadi, scaffolding digunakan untuk sebagai tempat buat maintenance, sebagai tempat access, sebagai untuk buat inspection, tapi bukan untuk falsework ataupun kita panggil bahasa mudah penyangga. Ditopang gunakan A-frame. Sebab kalau tuan-tuan tengok A-frame ni, kalau pergi dekat mana produk yang keluarkan A-frame ni, dia punya design dia, spesifikasi dia adalah untuk very light duty use, yang bermaksud hanya untuk kerja-kerja ringan sahaja, untuk orang, bukan untuk tahan beban. Okey, so kat mana ditulis? Okey, ditulis dalam kita punya Malaysia Standard 1462. Apa dia mention sini? Okey, dia kata this standard apply to steel frame working scaffolding used as a temporary structure. Tapi dia kata dekat sini, this standard warna kuning ni not cover the use of steel scaffolding as a structure shoring. Yang tu yang tak boleh. A-frame lain tak ada masalah. Okay. Dia kata shoring, the construction of a temporary structure to support temporary and unsafe structure. Kemudian dalam standard pun ada dinyatakan juga. Kita ambil apa yang nyatakan dalam standard pada tahun 2012 tadi. Kita prohibit, kita larang guna. Kita kata kat sini prefabricated steel scaffolding, merujuk kepada Malaysia Standard 1462 adalah dilarang penggunaannya sebagai falsework. Okey, tu cerita dia lah. Okey, so kenapa saya cerita macam tu? Sebab dia related dengan satu lagi topik kita, iaitu kewajipan kontraktor di bawah Section 34B. Okey, kita tengok apa kewajipan kontraktor. Kewajipan kontraktor ni, kewajipan seorang kontraktor yang mengusahakan apa-apa kerja pembinaan hendaklah yang pertama, to provide information and document on construction works. Kalau dia ada projek, dia kena declare dekat CIDB melalui sistem, dan sebagainya lah. Okay. Seterusnya yang kedua, to comply with the law. Itulah kalau jadi kontraktor zaman sekarang ni, banyak sangat undang-undang dah. Macam-macam yang kena comply lah. Kalau tuan-tuan nak tahu lebih lanjut pasal undang-undang ni, CIDB ada sediakan satu kursus secara online e-learning. Ada dua sebenarnya. Satu berkenaan dengan regulation CIDB, satu lagi berkenaan dengan modul business. Modul bisnes tu dekat situ memang tuan-tuan boleh nampak lah apa ada atas-atas yang terlibat lah, atas KWSP lah, atas SOSO lah, atas parit saliran, atas alam sekitar, kalau melibatkan safety and health, atas 514, atas OSHA lah, atas apa ni, 139, atas kilang dan jentera, atas 342 penyakit berjangkit, atas 446 standard perumahan minima. Semalam saya dekat satu surat khabar tu online, berapa ratus, 300 pekerja, I'm not sure, tapi dikongsikan ditempatkan dalam 5 ruang. Tu tak munasabah lah. Itu di bawah JTK, Jabatan Tenaga Kerja Semenanjung Malaysia. Dia ambil tindakan lah kepada majikan. Dia longgokkan pekerja tu dalam satu tempat yang sempit. Itu di bawah atas 446 lah, standard perumahan minima. Dia ada tilam berperinci, almari berkunci. Last sekali adalah kewajipan sebagai kontraktor to ensure duty of the building and construction work, sama ada semasa ataupun selepas kerja-kerja pembinaan. Okay. Sebab itulah kita cerita pasal scaffolding, falsework, and then kita cerita pasal safety. Apa tindakan sekiranya berlaku kemalangan dekat tapak bina, tuan-tuan? Okay. Pertama, kita boleh ambil tindakan tata tertib. Okay, pendaftaran kontraktor boleh digantung, dibatal ataupun dikenakan syarat tertentu untuk dipatuhi atau didakwa di mahkamah. Okay. Setakat ni apa yang berlaku paling besar lah, kita charge China Communication Construction Company, CCCC, sebagai main tempat sinergi, kemudian syarikat pembinaan dan perniagaan muhibah, kemudian dia lah. Okay, kita charge dia kemalangan yang melibatkan launcher gerda. Kita charge dia, tuan-tuan boleh tengoklah, kontraktor projek lebuh raya Suka telah dikenakan tindakan tertentu oleh CIDB, denda sebanyak RM200,000 lah. Dia maksimum RM500,000 untuk makluman tuan-tuan lah. Okay, dia kena hanya lebih kurang dalam 40% lah daripada amount yang besar. Okay, secara kesimpulannya macam inilah. Okay, so sebagai kontraktor, okay, kena comply lah dengan, kena tahu apa undang-undang yang terlibat yang berkaitan dengan industri pembinaan, terutamanya Akta 520. Kemudian we try to comply lah dengan segala peraturan dan undang-undang, termasuk standard-standard yang telah dikeluarkan. Dan seterusnya benda ni kita kalau boleh kita buat secara berterusan lah. Okay. Saya ada video, saya rasa minta moderator untuk tayangkan video tadi. Saya dah share dengan dia, Puan Intan.
Boleh.
Okay, so sebelum saya tamatkan, saya tunjuk dululah slide tamat dulu, and then kita tengok video lah sebagai kita punya end session lah. Okay, boleh Puan? Silakan.
Assalamualaikum dan salam sejahtera. Anda sedang menyaksikan berita CIDB TV bersama saya, Anip Izzati. CIDB Wilayah Persekutuan Kuala Lumpur telah mengadakan operasi penguatkuasaan khas OPK di tapak bina sekitar kawasan Wilayah Persekutuan Kuala Lumpur sebagai inisiatif dan usaha dalam memastikan tiada penyalahgunaan perancah jenis A-frame dan bahan binaan. Melalui usaha ini juga, CIDB dapat memastikan pihak kontraktor mematuhi peraturan serta garis panduan yang telah ditetapkan dalam Akta Lembaga Pembangunan Industri Pembinaan Malaysia, Akta 520. Dalam operasi kali ini, CIDB WPKL turut melibatkan kekuatan pegawai penguatkuasa dari CIDB Ibu Pejabat, CIDB Negeri Selangor, CIDB Negeri Sembilan dan CIDB Negeri Perak menjadikan keseluruhannya seramai 50 orang anggota dan pegawai ditugaskan bagi 2 tapak yang berbeza.
Hasil pemeriksaan pihak penguatkuasa CIDB wilayah Kuala Lumpur, kita dapati barang-barangan daripada scaffolding jenis modular di tapak yang mana kita masih memeriksa dan ingin mengesahkan sekiranya marking yang diperlukan ke atas setiap komponen barang-barang scaffolding adakah atau tidak. Jadi seperti yang kita nampak, semua komponen-komponen kita semak dan dapati kita perlu sahkan marking tu. Buat masa ni kita tak nampak, tapi kita akan sahkanlah dengan penyiasatan yang lebih lanjut lagi. Dari segi penyimpanan susunan itu mematuhi, tapi kita lebih memberi fokus kepada sama ada barang-barang bahan binaan yang modular ni memenuhi standard dan keperluan PPS, iaitu salah satu syaratnya perlu ada marking di atas setiap komponen scaffolding yang digunakan.
Berdasarkan pemerhatian pada ops kali ini, kesalahan penyalahgunaan perancah jenis A-frame dikatakan lebih kritikal disebabkan kawasan pembinaan bangunan ini yang jaraknya agak berdekatan dengan bangunan lain. Bagi mengulas lebih lanjut keadaan ini, kita terus sahaja bersama dengan Tuan Muhammad Faizal, Pengurus Besar Bahagian Pematuhan Sektor Penguatkuasaan.
Okey, sekiranya kita lihat di persekitaran lokasi yang kita berada pada hari ini, site yang kita berada ni ada juga apartmen di sebelah kanan saya dan juga di bahagian belakang. Jadi ini merupakan satu lokasi yang boleh kita katakan matang lah, dengan pergerakan orang ramai, kenderaan, bisnes dan sebagainya. Jadi projek yang berada pada kemajuan tingkat yang keempat, sekiranya dibayangkannya kepada lebih tinggi dan mengalami kejadian akan menyebabkan kerosakan yang besar lah. Bukan jadi pada nyawa dan juga pada harta benda di sekeliling. Sebab itu kita memberi penekanan kepada safety dan health yang pada tahap yang agak tinggi dari segi penggunaan bahan-bahan binaan yang berkualiti.
Operasi Penguatkuasaan Khas OPK kali ini diketuai oleh Dato' Dr. Teknologis Jerat Sundaraj, Pengarah CIDB Wilayah Persekutuan Kuala Lumpur. Terus sahaja bersama dengan Dato' Pengarah bagi tujuan utama ops ini diadakan.
So hari ini kita berada di tapak yang pertama, iaitu di Sentul, merupakan sebuah projek bangunan pangsapuri yang membina ada 2 blok. Blok pertama adalah 19 tingkat dan blok kedua adalah 23 tingkat, termasuk dengan podium letak kereta. Hari ini tujuan kita adalah memberi fokus kepada penggunaan scaffolding mengikut yang telah pun tertera dalam Akta 520. Jadi kita memeriksa kepematuhan kontraktor terhadap penggunaan scaffolding. Hasil pemeriksaan kita di tapak, kita mendapati 2 kesalahan yang telah dilaksanakan. Yang pertama adalah penggunaan scaffolding untuk kerja-kerja shoring yang boleh kita lihat di sebelah belakang saya, yang mana pihak penguatkuasa pun telah seal off lah tapak tersebut untuk sebahagian daripada penyiasatan kita yang akan dilaksanakan. Pada masa yang sama juga dari segi kita juga telah memeriksa penggunaan bahan binaan, jadi kualiti bahan binaan dan penggunaan mengikut keperluan PPS dan sebagainya. Tujuan melaksanakan OPK ini adalah untuk memastikan pematuhan yang berterusan oleh kontraktor di tapak, dan pada kali ini khususnya adalah diberikan kepada penggunaan A-frame sebagai bukan untuk tujuan shoring dan sebagainya mengikut akta yang telah ditetapkan.
Setiap pihak yang terlibat hendaklah mengetahui tentang kewajipan pematuhan penggunaan perancah terhadap falsework serta bahan binaan yang digunakan dalam kerja-kerja pembinaan. Sekian sahaja untuk berita CIDB TV kali ini. Teruskan menyokong kami dengan like, share dan subscribe social media CIDB TV sehingga kita bertemu lagi.
Okey, itulah presentation saya. So saya sebelum saya tamatkan, saya minta maaf lah di atas segala kekurangan kelemahan yang ada, yang baik daripada Allah. Yang lemah itu daripada diri saya sendiri. Saya serahkan balik kepada Puan Intan lah sebagai moderator. Terima kasih.
Okay, terima kasih Regis Ahmad Mahmuan atas presentation tersebut. Kalau kita tengok dekat chat ni dah ada some questions, tapi we will ask you the questions after the last presentation. Okay, Regis Mahmuan. Alright. Seterusnya saya ingin menjemput our next speaker, Teknologis Engineer Louis Tay, He is the Deputy President of Technological Association Malaysia, TAM, with more than 26 years of experience that encompasses all phases of design and construction process for corporate, institutional and governmental clients. He graduated from the Department of Civil Engineering, University of Manitoba, Canada in 1996. Engineer Louis Tay joined Sudut Swasta Sinar Berhad as a partner and the technical director responsible for business strategic planning and development. New business entities carrying the brand names of Plytech Formwork and Plytech Engineering were then established. Subsequently, with the keen support of his business partners, he promoted Plytech to become their corporate name, Plytech Holdings Sinar Berhad. He was then appointed the Chief Operating Officer of Plytech Group with the responsibilities to lead and strategize business development to achieve the company's vision. Aside from business, Engineer Louis Tay is also an active member in several communities and associations such as Malaysian Service Provider Confederation, MSPC, China Formwork and Scaffold Association, CFSA, American Concrete Institute, ACI Malaysia Chapter, Construction Industries Competencies Blueprint, CICB, and various construction industry standard development work groups under CIDB, Technological Association Malaysia, and etc. He has been trained and becomes a qualified design for safety, professional and occupational safety and health in construction management. Professional. He is also an industry productivity specialist appointed by MPC. He was admitted as an associate fellow for Asian Academy of Engineering and Technology, AAET, in May 2021. In year 2023, he was registered as a professional engineer with the Board of Engineers Malaysia and became a fellow of AAET. So without further ado, I would like to invite Technologist Engineer Louis to do his presentation.
Hi, good morning. Thank you, Ingtan. Sorry, I didn't give you a simplified version of the.
That's okay. You have a lot of experience. I am happy to share it with everyone.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Let me share my screen and. Okay. The overall title of the webinar series this season is on the enforcement on the Falsework and scaffolding for safer constructions. So if you look at that title, we are looking at three elements. Enforcement is done under a regulatory framework. Falsework and scaffolding is actually a construction method, and it is actually temporary works. And safer constructions, it means people who use scaffolding and falsework has to practice safe work. So there are three elements here. How to promote safe work? How does our regulatory framework promote safe work for this specific area of temporary works of scaffolding and falsework? So this is what I would like to share what I know, mainly also very much similar to the previous speaker, Technologist Ahmad, but just that I'm giving it a more overall industry perspective. So let me see. Okay, first of all, let's start it easy and take a look at the terms temporary work structure. Okay, what is temporary works? First of all, temporary works are those that allow the construction or protect the construction and or provide access to permanent works, and it might or might not stay in place at the end of the completion of the works. And number two, the temporary work structures are used to support a permanent structure or material or plant or equipment during constructions, or even people or traffic. So while this permanent structure, are not strong enough to self-support, very easy to understand is concrete structure. So when you just pour the concrete structure has to go no strength, very limited strength until it is hardened and cured. So before that, the structure that gives the form, including the formwork and the shoring, is actually temporary work structures. And temporary works or temporary work structure are very much in general. Temporary work structure is part of temporary work. So temporary works is any kind of construction that comprises. It could be a scaffolding, it could be falsework, it can be formwork, it can be earth retaining structures. It can be facade retention especially for historical building category. You are not allowed to take away the facade. So those work that protect the facade during the refurbishment work or repurposing work is called temporary works as well. It could be cofferdams for us to work on water, and so those are the category of temporary works. But today we are going to focus on scaffolding and falsework. And even these two terms itself, sometimes the industry also find it confusing, because all the while our equipment itself, for example, the A-frame, which technologies Ahmad talked a lot about just now, it is actually a scaffold equipment, but we have been using it as a falsework, as a shoring. So scaffolding is actually a kind of temporary structure that is strictly for access of human purpose. It means if you want to erect this temporary structure from point A to point B, and that structure is called a scaffolding. It's for access, temporary access purpose. Whereas falsework, here we refer to mostly temporary structures that comprises formwork and shorings. It is actually for the support of the permanent structure before the permanent structure is self-supporting. So if you differentiate these two, the first thing that we need to do is we need to differentiate these two. So we cannot be casually using the term scaffolding when we come to formwork and shoring supports. And most people know the term scaffolding, but a lot of people are quite confused with the terms of falsework or shoring and also formwork. So the falsework practically refer to the whole assembly of formwork and shoring and things like that. It's actually more referring to temporary structure itself. So this is just to understand what we are talking about, and then I would like to just have a quick overview, which is in a way repeating what the previous speaker has talked about. We will be looking at the framework that comprising number one, the BS 5975, the 2019 version. The 2019 version has incorporated CDM, Construction Design Management, and for information, is actually being adopted as Malaysian standard. I'm not sure of National Committee of adopting this BS standard to be MS. So it is actually an MS standard in a matter of time. So it is actually providing the code of practice for temporary works procedures and the permissible stress design of falsework. Of course, in the modern days, we are talking about limit state design. As long as you use certain code of practice, no matter how you design your falsework temporary structure, as long as you comply to certain code of design, that is fair enough. I don't think that is a problem. But what is more significant here, what is very much described in the 5975 is very much the code of practice, the control procedure where the part 1 and part 2 itself is, and the perimeter of design consideration, not much on the design itself, where your consideration design is very important, what factor, whether you use load factor and material factor as versus safety factor in the permissible stress. I think that is secondary, because either way it is justified. But what you consider, okay, how you assign duty, I think that is more critical. as compared to the actual value and parameters you use in your calculations. As second document, which is a very important document, it was published in year 2020 by the Chief Inspector, Ketua Pengarah is Chief Inspector of JKKP. It is specified specifically for is specifically for temporary works, including scaffold, formwork, and falsework. And I think we will talk about that in shortly. And this framework that I will examine today also include the role of temporaries and temporary works, the professional engineer for temporary work, which is defined by the Board of Engineer under the Guidelines 001. And then, of course, we will be talking about the construction industry standards, CIS, and that will cover CIS 22, 23, where technologies Ahmad has mentioned. But in fact, there is also a CIS 24. Okay, CIS 24 described is for IBS system, and IBS system comprises six kind of system, as you are aware. And one of it is actually reusable formwork. So reusable formwork is a kind of falsework or temporary works. So it's actually it actually governed. It is actually governed under CIS 24 as well. Okay. So this is roughly the framework, and it is more concerning the scaffold and falsework we're going to talk about. But when you look at temporary works or temporary structures in the broader perspective, there are much more regulation than this. If you are erecting a temporary structure as workers' accommodation, that's Act 446, and any temporary structures for occupation purpose, these are also temporary works, frankly speaking, and it also has to do with the local government regulation as well. So, but let's only focus on the perspective of temporary structures, which is the falsework and scaffolding. So these are the regulation or code of practice that I mentioned. The BS Finance 75 on the first one, and then the Perintah Khas, that's how it looked like. The BS Finance 75, by the way, the first one, that is a very thick document. But it's very important to read because it actually outlines code of practices. A lot of our regulations specify a certain role that somebody has to be responsible. For example, the Perintah Khas, the second document you see there, is specified that every project must have a pengurus and orang yang ditetapkan untuk for the struktur sementara temporary structures. It clearly specified you have responsibility to implement PTW, permit to work system, and things like that, and you have responsibility to hire PETW and things like that. And the last paragraph, I'm not sure you can see it, it actually show you that if you do not comply, you can be sent, you can be charged of not more than 200,000 or put to jail for not more than 5 years. That's horrible, 5 years. Okay, that is the Perintah Khas. It says that you have to appoint these people, but the problem is when you are appointed as an orang ditetapkan, what are you supposed to do? What are the procedures that you will make the safe work happen? You know what I mean? It doesn't mean that you have orang yang ditetapkan, that you tetapkan him, anything go wrong, he go to jail, then your work will be safe. So what we are saying is, how does this orang ditetapkan can make a difference to create a safer construction? That rely on the fact that he need to practice the correct code of practice, the approved code of practice, which is Finance 75. So Finance 75 is very important code that we all should use. And especially it's going to become MS anyway, Malaysian standard. And that document, the Board of Engineer Guideline 1, is actually about definition role or PETW. Okay, we have a overview framework onto it, and we have mentioned a lot about the CIS 22, 23, 24. I'm just displaying the latest name. 22 and 23 in the year 2003 version has changed the name a little bit. For 22, it become product conformity for use scaffolding in constructions. And for 23, it become product conformity for falsework in construction. The previous name was safe use of scaffold in construction and safe use of falsework in construction. The last version before 22 and 23, which is 2021, which is a lot referred to by the previous speaker, that version, in fact, ladies and gentlemen, is a very important reference. And in my opinion, it is essential that despite there's a new version, you should know the content of the 2021 version. The reason that the 22 and 23 is redrafted, revised, is because the content has been redrafted to skew towards product conformity rather than to talk about procedure conformity and control for conformity. That is not because that these are not important. It is because that the CIS 22 and 23 has been listed into the Schedule 4 of ACTA 520. So the Schedule 4 of ACTA 520 practically specify this as a standard of product. So it is natural and perhaps more appropriate to redraft this document to be more presented as a product specification. So it talked about product conformity. And unfortunately, because of that, we revised the 2021 version. But please do not be confused that what is mentioned in 2021 version is no more important, because the 2021 version put everything together in a perspective. It put individual regulation into perspective. However, even though it is not written again, but the fact is those regulations are there. Okay, for example, BS Finance 75 is no more referred to in the new CIS 23, but that doesn't mean the BS Finance 75 is not there. It is still a approved code of practice. So let's look at the temporary work structures, this ecosystem. Let's have an overview. Now, what I want to do is, my flow of the presentation today is, let's look at the regulatory framework. Then we identify what the regulations required, and then we discuss how all this regulation, how is it intended in philosophy to empower safe constructions. So the most recent and relevant one, okay, other than the CIS 22 and 23, is of course the DOSH JKKP Chief Inspector Special Order, year 2020. It is actually empowered. The fact that he can issue a special order because the Factory and Machinery Act 139 give him this power. So he issued this special order, and bear in mind that under the new OSHA amendment, the Act 139 is actually abolished. So there will be some amendment anyway, and there will be some more update. I'll talk about the safety perspectives, OSHA perspective later. But however, this document specifies for a project of a premise, there must be a pengurus, a project manager, and he must tetapkan one person to look after temporary works. So, and it also says that the pengurus has got the responsibility to make sure that it's a designated person, orang ditetapkan, and he has the responsibility to hire a PETW to design for his temporary works. When the contractor undertake a construction project, okay, the permanent works, the structure or the school, the hospital or the apartment he's building, the design is done by the PEPC, the submitting person for the permanent works. But the permanent works engineer, professional engineer, doesn't design for the temporary works. That is under the scope of contractor. So this special order, Perintah has specified this role. In other words, if you do not hire this, you can be charged, the project manager. if you do not appoint your designated person, you can be charged for this procedure itself. And it also says that you need to implement PTW system. So I just simplified this. Then again, what is a PETW? Professional Engineer for Temporary Works. Okay, it actually uses terms directly. These terms come from the Act 138, the Engineers Act, which empower Board of Engineer, okay, to define PEPC, okay, and to define PETW under their 2015 guideline. I think it's 2015, if I'm not mistaken. So the PEPC, the practicing certificate, the PE practicing certificate is the person who submit the project to the authority. But however, the PETW is another engineer that is hired to look after the temporary works during the construction process. Okay, so he's responsible to different structure, same project but different structure. Okay, so this is defined by the Engineers Act. And then we know that, okay, and all this role, and you have PETW, you have designated person, what they are supposed to do, how they are supposed to design. They will refer to BS 5975 traditionally, okay, a code of practice for temporary works, and it has become MS adoption. Now there is an issue when you adopt BS 5975. The BS 5975 is mainly rewritten in 2019 to follow the spirit of CDM. In Malaysia, the CDM regulation or design for safety regulation is called OSHIM, which is likely to be signed off as a regulation by January next year. So when this OSHIM is in place, it practically will replace the BOEC, okay, and then it will be aligned, okay. So you can expect that a lot of related regulations will have to be rewritten because of the change in the OSHA and the introduction of OSHIM. OSHIM is a regulation under the new OSHA specifically for the construction industry. Okay. So then, under the Code of Practice MS adoption of BS 5975, the code talk about permanent work designer, PWD, and that is actually equivalent to our PEPC, so that's easy to understand. On the other hand, the code also say that there has to be a temporary works designer. Okay, the guy who designed the temporary works is described under the code. And then the 5975 also say that the temporary work designer, okay, will actually liaise with the PC's TWC, the principal contractor's TWC. The code says that the main contractor who is the principal contractor. In future, that contractor has to be registered under OSHIM as a principal contractor. That TWC must come. There must be a TWC come from principal contractor. So it's called PC's TWC. And of course, the TWC is assisted by temporary works supervisor. TWC stands for temporary works coordinator. So under 3 different regulatory framework of Act, we have this element coming in. And of course, then do not forget that we also have CIS 22, 23, 24, which actually come under Act 520. Okay, it is actually empowered through Pengakuan Pematuhan standard as described under the Act, and also refer to the 4th schedule. So it talk about product standards. Okay, and I would like to make special reference. Why we mention the 2021 version is because the 2021 version was drafted during the time when the BS code is adopted, and it was drafted during a time when the DOS issued a special order, and it was drafted by the industry with CIDB together to put the whole perspective together. So how does it put the perspective together? Number one, okay, it mentioned all this code of practice. It mentioned the JKKP Perintah Khas. It also mentioned the BEM guideline of the PETW, and it actually put the relationship, tie it in. Okay, PETW Professional Engineer for Temporary Works is actually the TWD. So if you read BS or MS, and if you refer to the CIS, and that 2% is the same person. So it's just that in the BS code, depend on different design risks, you can hire different level of TWD. For highest level of design risk, you have to hire a checker. But however, in Malaysia, our context is easier. As long as you're a professional engineer for temporary works, that's it, okay? All the temporary works has to be designed by PETW. So the TWD is the PETW. Second relationship is, it further tell you that the orang yang ditetapkan, the person who you either make him in charge on site for temporary works, or you intended to send him to jail because you don't want to comply the regulation, is actually the TWC, temporary works coordinator. And the regulation further will tell you that the main contractor has to have a TWC, the principal contractor. So the BS code refer to PC TWC and also other TWC. So subcontractor need to have TWC fair, but the regulation says that there must be a PC TWC. Why? Because for different kind of risks, implementation risks, there is certain level that only the PC TWC can sign off. And finally, the third relationship, okay, also says that, okay, the TWC and the PETW work in the team. If you are familiar with construction, you know that you have a structure engineer or M&E engineer, then you have a clerk of work on site, right? So the clerk of work is actually the eye and the representative of the PC. But however, the clerk of work cannot change the design. Okay, they make the inspection, they make report, okay, and they give green light or hold. Okay, put the work on hold based on the engineer's instruction. So it actually ties that PETW and TWC work in such a relationship. So if you look at the overall regulatory framework, the role of PETW and TWC is become inevitably essential to the proper implementation of temporary works. And we are talking about safe constructions, bear in mind, and we are talking about safe use of equipment. So some of the regulation, for example, we have CIDB has been working very hard to come out with the CIS 22, 23, and but that is actually product compliance. The product can comply, but misuse of product doesn't come from the product. Misuse of product come from the human. It's a human action. So if you do not have clear responsibility and role and procedure and know what to do and how to do it, it is very difficult to complete the ecosystem to have a safe work environment. So this is essential that we need to understand. This is the framework. And how does our regulatory framework intended to empower safe use? That's the whole purpose, right? The framework is supposed to empower safe use to avoid accident. So safe use in practical terms means that we want to avoid or reduce failure or accident. And how? Okay, first, if we look at that last slide I presented, okay, the whole framework we put together. Number one, we have clear roles and responsibility now being defined. Okay, so the JKKP document define roles, but that roles need to know what is the responsibility under that document and also under the MS document and also under the CIS document and things like that. Okay, and they need to know who they report to. And we have now defined standards, standardized practices. Okay, there are certain practices are now standardized. And we are talking about product certification. So you control the product, at least we eliminate the risk that failure are due to under-spec product. That is eliminated first. But once you eliminate those under-spec product out for market, it doesn't guarantee that there will not be accident because you'll be misuse of human behavior, right? So then it is very important to have control procedure. The control procedure come from engineering control. Okay, so these are how this thing will be in place. So if you are managing a construction project or you are doing a project management, ask yourself, okay, are you only complying to certain of it? Are you looking at implementing temporary works with these full 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 perspective, are all these clearly understood within your team, then you have a chance to practice good and safe constructions. All right, okay, so first of all, we talk about roles. Roles means a peranan. Okay, we have tied this in together lah. Okay, so if you read from the right hand side, DOS Special Order 13 March 2020, the clause 1 mentioned the role pengurus manager. If you read it in the other two documents, it is actually the contractor's project manager or principal contractor designated individual DI. Okay, so these are equivalent role. So if you look at the second one, under the DOS, okay, orang yang ditetapkan designated person is actually the TWC. The terms come from BS Finance and 5, and some country practice a proper training to certify TWC. And we have put in the same terms inside the CIS 22 and 23 year 2021 version. And these are equivalent role. It's the same role actually. It's just put into different name. And okay, and then DOS talk about the PETW, Jurutura Professional. Is actually the PETW, and in the BS is actually the TWD. And finally, what DOS didn't mention is good because DOS order is actually for temporary works. It didn't mention is the permanent works designer, which is PWD, and in the CIS 22 and 23 is actually referred to the PEPC, submitting person, who submit the permanent structure to the authority. So we have PETW, and under the code, BS code, it calls for 4 checks to be carried out on Falsework. This is for one example, Falsework. And you need to do a structural strength check, lateral stability, overall stability, and positional stability. Okay, so and there's this design consideration. Okay, not everything can be mobilized to its yielding strength. Sometimes it buckle before it yield. So you need to understand your product well. You need to understand your boundary condition, whether you're fixed or you're not fixed, that kind of thing. So this will be the role of the TWD. He need to do this check, okay, whether you have done sufficient check or not. And then there is also the role of TWC, which is mainly on the design brief. There's this document it must be produced, okay, which is called a design brief. And this design brief talk about how the construction team want to carry out the work. If you have a, say, 9,000 meters square of car park floor to be cast, and how many zone you want to cast it, okay? And if this structure is PT, okay, who is doing what role? And who is giving the final go-ahead to cast? Who is giving the final go-ahead to dismantle the formwork and things like that? So these are the procedure. What are the conditions, okay, of your works, okay, surrounding, okay? And what is the design standard and guideline that is acceptable by the principal consultant? So this design brief will outline all these things, and it's actually supposed to be prepared by the TWC. And the TWC is supposed to buy off. Either he buy off or he prepare, but he could actually ask him to prepare. There are a lot of information he has to provide to the TWD, the PETW. The PETW is another human like him. You cannot tell that human, can you design safely the temporary works, okay, without giving him the information like what is the soil data, what is the strength of the soil that is going to sit the Falsework, and without telling him, okay, what are the timing that you require, okay, do you require early stripping and things like that, without telling him the construction program, how you want to zone out the casting sequence. So that is not possible until you produce a design brief. And that is actually the temporary works coordinator, orang yang ditekan his responsibility. And he also need to identify site and environment and constraints. And now we are talking about temporary work structures like Falsework, scaffold, but temporary works including excavation, slope work, and all these things. Remember the case in Taiwan where the excavation vehicle actually fall and ram down to the railway in front of the tunnel near the site. That is specifically mentioned. If you have a rear route nearby, you have to do certain mention about it in the design brief, and you need to make sure that you protect those public interests well enough. So this design brief is very, very important. Okay, and sometimes the permanent works designer, like for example, the concrete structure designer will have special reason that he says that my slab, the slab you construct cannot be used to support the temporary works. So you need to know those controls. You need to pass on this information to the PETW who designed the temporary works. So the level of checks, design check and things like that must be mentioned. Limitation imposed by authority in relation to working within adjacent to railways, highways, water courses, and etc. So these are the design brief. Is very important document, and in the design brief, once you have design brief, once you have a temporary work designer, the PETW, and then the work will be implemented. Okay, when you implement the work, there are two kind of risks: table 1 and table 2. Okay, table 1. This is all from Finance and Finance. Table 1 talk about the implementation risk. Table 2 talk about the design check. Okay, the categories of design check. These are all risk categorization, but however, is targeted a different thing. Okay, table 2. Let's start from table 2. So if your risk of design check is very high, so for example, number 3, which is for complex and innovative design, which result in complex sequences of moving and constructing of either the temporary works or permanent works. Okay, the design is unusual and the equipment is not easy. Okay, and people do not everybody can use the equipment. So the check should be carried out by another organization and should include an overall check to ensure coordination of the whole design. This simply says that you need a checker. Not only you need a PETW, you need to hire another PETW as a checker. So this is the worst scenario if we come to design. Table 1, on the other hand, on the other side, table 1, you talk about implementation risk. Okay, if the risk is very low, okay, for example, you only need to control, okay, via standard documentation, okay, and inspection by site team, not necessarily recorded, and not necessarily by DWC. But if it's a low to medium risk, the TWC, the PC's TWC will be involved. But if there's high risk, the permit can only be signed off by the PC TWC. It means the principal contractor TWC. He has to be the most qualified person. So these are the control requirement. Okay, then we talk about role responsibility. We talk about now we also talk about product stand control. Okay, these are product control. Okay, what the CIS 22 and 23 has outlined all kind of product control, and the telescopic prop 1 EN 1065 has been adopted as MS standard. 16031, the number 4 aluminum prop, is just almost the same as the steel one. I'm not sure that is adopted or not, but I was in the 1065 committee. I'm not sure we talk about the aluminum one. I just couldn't remember, but it will be the same. Okay. Next slides. Despite you have now when you talk about product control, product compliance, okay, it will be very much depend on what your product is used for. There are product, for example, modular scaffold product, MS1462 Part 3 and 2. This product is designed according to 12810 Part 2. And when it is declared as a scaffold product, it is tested in this way, 3-bay method. The similar product, when you are saying that you're using it for shoring, at the moment, the only relevant standard is only testing standard of the shoring tower, which is 12813, and it actually tests it in a different way. Okay, for the same product, it's testing a 5-meter tower and things like that. Okay, and unfortunately, most of the shoring product that come in modular and tower is actually proprietary design, so there is no universal standard. MS1462 Part 3, Part 2, or MS1462 Part 1 and 2 for A-frame and tubular, they are actually universal product specifications. So when you come to specifications, you got to understand that they are product design specification and also product testing specification. So shoring generally has got a good testing standard 12813, but however, it doesn't have shoring tower. It doesn't have a very standardized product standard provided for telescopic probe, the adjustable telescopic steel or aluminum probe. And the product compliance also require product marking. This is a bit old one. It require manufacturer and suppliers name. It require year of manufacture. It require standards. The number of standard. What is the standard you're complying to? I'm showing you a example there, and it require the CIDB PPS number. However, in the 2023 version, this has been more or less simplified a little bit, okay. But this was the original requirement under the PPS. So this help. Okay, how does this help? Okay, this help to eliminate substandard product out from the market. Okay, and it help for project personnel to identify whether your product is complying. So you don't need to guess because it is actually marked on it, okay? And there's a yearly assessment inspection you need to do. And also, okay, now from product control, we come to procedure control. So the procedure control is a very important element of BS Finance 75, and it should be well adopted, okay? And it is, part of it is already written into the special order by JKKP. It says the PM has to appoint PETW and TWC, which is aligned to that principle. The PETW approves the TWC. So you cannot just give him anybody as a TWC. Because the TWC, orang yang ditetapkan for the temporary works, is actually acting as the representative of the PETW. So he has to know his capacity. The TWC must sign off the design brief before the commencement of the work. The PETW must provide the design and procedure control, assign supervision duty to TWC, and all this has to happen, okay? And the PM, if you read further, okay, under the context of Malaysia regulation, the PM need to register and submit to DOS, your project team, and your and all this design, even for PETW design, okay, then the TWC need to report to PETW that there is any changes before you start the work, because 3 months ago you start the work by saying that you're going to cast a concrete of the transfer floor, which is 800 mm thick. Today the design has been changed. Your owner doesn't want to use PT anymore. It has become 1.5 meter deep. So if that change is not updated to the PETW, your design of the shoring structure will be under capacity to carry the increased depth of the concrete, and that is not increasing by a few inch. It's increasing by, you know, half a meter and more, you know. So these are all the things that you need to happen before commencement will work, and during the progress of work, okay, these are the things that we need. This control procedures has combined both BS Finance 75 as well as the standards by the JKKP, okay. So you need to adopt PTW system, permit to work system, okay, and it is actually the same as mentioned in the BS. You need to implement stop point, okay, checkpoint system. It means PTW is actually a checkpoint system, okay, when you must check before you can proceed. It's like all your work has got traffic light. After you install the formwork, the traffic light is red. So somebody need to check whether the formwork is installed accordingly before you get a green light to cast, okay? And you need to get a few green light before you can cast. The permanent structure engineer will need to make sure the reinforcement bars are put in correctly, things like that. So this is actually PTW system. The TWC need to implement TWC. The person who implement TWC is PTW is TWC. The TWC need to inspect and receive all Falsework components, material, and check for PPS compliance. And this has become, you talk about all the compliance, okay, now we are saying that like the CIDB has talked about enforcement and all this. But then you'll be asking, then whose job is that to check whether you have PPS compliance and things like that? When you adopt standards, the regulatory framework tell you that it's actually the TWC job. And when you inspect that, okay, there are several there are several batch of the, for example, the shoring towers material on site. They are not complying to PPS, or they are damaged. Okay, the code of practice says that the TWC shall remove damaged or non-PPS compliant component from site immediately. You receive this morning, you get it out this afternoon. You cannot give an excuse that when enforcer come, okay, or this one I rejected one. When you reject last month, you're not doing your work because your duty says that you have to reject. You cannot allow them to be inside. So these are a lot of things that if you understand, if we industry understand, these are all there. Instead for us to understand and put it into practice, then our site, our work will be very safe. And back in 2021, the CIS 22 and 23 actually also talk about initial site quality check and scheduled site quality check. This is mainly to sample the product and then do some basic checking on component strength and things like that. And then you introduce the Falsework receiving inspection form or equipment receiving inspection form, and the TWC needs to sign off all the PTW and things like that. And the TWC need to update all record to PETW. He has to keep the PETW known. What happened in our market today is the PETW never know what happened on the site and never care to know what happened on the site. And without knowing that they are responsible to what is going on to their design, okay, they are presuming, okay, because conventionally they have designed the work very safe and they have designed it accordingly, okay. So they think that, okay, my design is safe, I'm only responsible to design. But now under the code of practice, you must understand that you are responsible to communicate with the TWC. The TWC cannot override your design. If you have designed a tower that is 1.5 meter, you cannot suddenly change it to 2 meter wide because the strength will be different, and the TWC has got no right to approve it. So the PETW need to keep knowing, being updated on what's going on site. And traditionally, there's no PETW being charged for failure until there was a case last year. The PETW was actually charged, okay, and it was proven that his design was insufficient. We had not been seen PETW being charged for procedural control, but I believe when all this become proper framework, there will be procedural control being charged back to the PETW. It means the TWC is doing the work correctly, but the PETW didn't try to observe the correct procedure. It could be happen, we don't know yet, okay? And these are some of the flow, process flow. It was highlighted and I think put in the appendix in the CIS 22 and 23 back in 2021. It just gives you some idea how you can create a flow, okay, on this. What you want is a step-by-step thing, you know, certain thing you need to check before you proceed to the next thing. And it's a good practice, okay? Nobody say that you must follow this, but if you do not follow a flow, it means you simply have no flow. If you don't have process flow on site, it means you have no control at all, right? So if you have a certain kind of control, you have to design your process flow. This is a reference that you can find, okay? And then this is in the 2021 version, okay? When you take the do the initial site quality check, it means when you receive, it talk about when you have certain quantity, every 20,000 or every how many thousand, you need to check, okay? Take a sample and check. But it is normal in the new version. That doesn't mean, okay, it is not a good practice. If you are the TWC or the PETW, do you want to recheck? You ask yourself, how do you ascertain that this used product that looks very fishy to you is actually in functionable strength? So these are the things that you need to decide, okay? And also there are some forms, okay, that you can use. I just show you the example, whether you check whether these things are there before you implement the work, okay? And also, now we talk about multiple elements to make the regulatory framework perfect. We need to understand the role and the responsibility. We need to have standardized practices. We need to have product control, and then we are talking about procedure engineering control. These are the things that, okay, even the engineers, when the engineer PETW, we tell you to design the Falsework for us. They will go to the finance, they will go to the section where the design is is talking about. They only want, most of the time they will just go and pick up the safety factor if that's required and a certain load. And they care, okay, what kind of load for what kind of thickness of slab I'm going to support. But there are also other clauses that is so critical for TWC, for anyone who is doing the formwork to understand. First of all, okay, the TWC should ensure that if you are designing based on, if the design is done based on 597.5, it's actually under one of the design clauses, you actually assume that, okay, the concrete is not dropped for more than 1 meter high, okay, because there will be another loading on the formwork and falsework. Do you know that? Okay, does the contractor know that? Does the TWC know that? Okay, nor the concrete be allowed to hit with surcharge of 600 mm or not more than 2 times the slab thickness, which is smaller and whatever, which means that if your slab is 300 or 200 mm thick, you are allowed to hit more up to 400 mm only. That's the design criteria. Why this is critical? Because whatever design parameter given is based on this assumption. So your slab is 200 mm thick and you go and hip up to 1 meter. The chances of your falsework can't take the temporary load is high and it may fail. So this has to be known by the TWC and has to be given to all the workers. Even the guy who pump the concrete also need to know that. The cover hip area shall be restricted within 1 meter square, measured on top of the slab. But these are all in the code. It's just that, did we bother to put in our design? Now, the most likely the PETW will not put this in. But do you think that it is important for the people who do the work to know this? So these are very important. So when some of the audience may be designing, and you need to make this available, even though it's understood to you, it may be understood, okay, but you have different people doing work every day, you know, so you must put it in. The purpose of putting in the design calculation, a design note, is so that all the thinking, the thoughts, and the parameter of consideration can be communicated. Okay, so communication is essential to good practice and safety. TWC shall ensure that no backpropping of the lower floor is removed until the falsework of the successive wet concrete floor is fully dismantled. This is simply saying that if you have a backpropping of silver floor, the sequence of removing is from the wet downwards. This is also a logic, but does your workers know? When you start telling your workers, okay, the 3 level of shoring can be removed, you may have the workers actually removing the lowest one first. So it may pose dangers to the higher one. So these are all the things that we need to know. And the TWC shall ensure that the temporary works are dismantled or removed only when the permanent structure being supported has become self-supporting and clearance from the PWD has been obtained. This is the part that is interesting. The TWC report to PETW. But however, when your structure is cast and ready to remove the temporary works, the final say whether he's okay for you to remove the temporary works is the other engineer, the PEPC, the permanent works designer. That is because that is his structure. He must be happy that his structure is strong before you can take away your temporary structure. So these are the some kind of engineering control that the very minimum we must understand. And why are procedure and engineering controls crucial? This is the pictures, okay, showing one of the work that was in the market, and the first picture I show on failure, I think, is coming from this particular project. Anyway, it is simple, okay. If you do not have a procedure control, have clear people to make sure what you design is done accordingly, the design may call for a full brace system like this, but then the implementation may be going for something simplified because of commercial issue. People want to make it cheaper. You know, the strength of the tower you see actually erected and the strength of the tower that you actually see on the other side is totally different in the design. Okay, and in fact this failed. Okay, so when this fail, okay, there are several reasons. Okay, it is the same product. Okay, but however, it was not erected to the required strength. So whose fault was that? Okay, I'm not sure this is the case, but I think the final endorsed version of the erected configuration was actually endorsed. The erected was endorsed by PDW, and it was, which means in this, if this is the case, the contractor erect according to the design, and then when it failed, it's actually the design that is not sufficient, right? Even and if the product has PPS, okay, if the product has got no PPS, the designer, the PTW, is still will be charged because it's your design. Okay, whatever design you do is your design, and the contractor will be charged because of no PPS as well. So there will be two different offense. But however, what I'm trying to say is, okay, procedure and engineering control are very important. Okay, whether you consider enough, whether you design enough, and once you design enough, do you follow the design? These are all the success factor to create safe use. And so to conclude, what I want to share today, I'm not sure my time. Okay, I think I got a few minutes. Okay. Knowing that what is coming, especially when we have 22 and CS 22 and 23 being amended as product compliance standards. And if you read the standards, it actually require the role of inspection body, not just testing body, accredited testing body, not just accredited certification body. When you do your PPS as a manufacturer, you actually hire certification body CB and do your tests at the testing body TB. But today, if you are dealing with used equipment, you have to hire inspection body. So it is actually accredited by JSM under different scope. Okay, so you need to find service of this. Are there service of this kind of people? There is. Okay, CRIM is one of them, one of the pioneer, in fact. Okay, and then you need to submit. If you have used equipment, I'm talking about used equipment, the challenges is you need to be able to trace how many equipment you have and where are they from. The traceability and accountability of equipment inventory. It means just make it very simple. You have 500,000 pieces of A-frame and you accumulated over the 15 years of your operation. You bought it 10 times from different directions, different supplier. Did you mark it? Can you identify which one is from which supplier? And you know where they are, okay? And when you get the IB to inspect, okay, the IB come and inspect your inventory that you know, okay? You have to present to them, you know. The IB don't come here as your gong si gong to do your housekeeping, to pick up material and sort out for you. You have to sort all this first. So this will be a challenge, okay? This is really a challenge, okay? To know your records, to know where they are, what you have and where they are. At the same time, to present it in such a way that it is inspectable. This is not easy, okay? This will be a challenge for the market. So I have been I've been discussing with our friends in CRIM that we need to come up with some standard procedures, some of the things you need to get ready, how you get it ready before you get the inspection. Otherwise, your inspection will never be concluded. You can't even start. You can fly the inspector all the way to Sarawak. You can fly the inspector all the way to Penang, but they can't do their work because you can't even tell which one is which and where they are, right? So maintenance manual operation equipment. Okay, so when you come to use equipment, you sure don't expect the inspector to base on the condition of new equipment to inspect, right? So to what extent rustiness is acceptable, to what extent use and tear is acceptable, that depends on the manual, your maintenance manual. So in other words, certain part of the inspector's work is to inspect whether you comply to your own product maintenance manual. Do you have that? That is another question. So these are all the challenges and opportunity in the market. And again, like I say, okay, we have product specification for scaffold, but we are lack of product specification for shoring and falsework, and because a lot of them are proprietary. So maybe it's high time that we create those standards. And they are also, you know that I present to you that if you are testing a falsework shoring tower, it has to be a 5-meter testing facility and things like that, okay? And we know very well that we are lack of that. Other than cream and another 1-2 place, nobody can do that, okay? And some of the manufacturer, they set up their own testing at their own place. Again, if you read CIS 22-23, it says that the testing has to be done by a SAM, S-A-M-M. It means, are you accredited? Of course, then you can go and get your accreditation. But bear in mind, if you just go and get accreditation for a single piece of testing equipment, there is a lot of procedure you need to comply and prove to JSM. So does it worth that or not? Okay. So then we are talking about the training and accreditation of TWC, orang yang ditetapkan. You cannot just tetapkan somebody and that somebody do not know what he's supposed to do. What is the best practice that can create effect? Okay. It's not that you don't hire him just to go and comply with regulation. You hire him to know what should be done in the process. Regulation didn't tell you everything. Okay. And we need the TWDs, the PTW, is going to have a new role under OSHIM, the new regulations for the construction industry. So these are also an area that is very lacking. Okay, it's not ready. Okay, so the designer need to know that. And when OSHIM's implemented, designers, contractors, TWC has to have the competency to conduct risk assessment. The proper risk assessment documentation you need to be able to do. And then now overall, you look at it, okay, we're trying to implement quality management system overall. But this quality management system cannot work if you do not have an information management system. If you cannot track whereabouts of your equipment, what is the current equipment here and there, who is doing what. So this information system is also a challenge. The construction industry is always suffering from very efficient information system management. That is what is continuing, but that is actually a solution to how to create a proper management to comply. And lastly, a few slides as we go onto the project schedule. The further we go, the ability to influence safety is getting lesser and lesser. So at this point of time, where you deploy most of the resources is probably during constructions, the ability to influence safety is relying on operational safety officers. Safety officer are auditor. They are auditing whether your processes has been thought of, okay, but they are not designer. The only chance that you can influence safety is before you implement the work, by doing better design, selecting better resources and better equipment. So that is the spirit and the philosophy of OSHIM. And this is also why, in order for OSHIM to come into place, our OSHA Act has been amended 2022. And it has changed for the Factory Machinery Act 1967 to 1994. 1994 is where we have our first OSHA Act. And then last year, we amended the OSHA Act. So when we amend the OSHA Act, we actually mansuhkan the AKJ, which is the 1967 Factory Machinery, Akta Kilang dan Jentera. And we have added in new clauses into the government, any new clauses into the OSHA, and the OSHA become very comprehensive. And the main reason for doing so is, from the very beginning of Factory and Machinery Act 1967, it was prescriptive. We are taking prescriptive approach. It says, if you want to ride a motorbike, you wear a helmet. You want to do A, you do this. You want to do B, you do this. But when industry get very complicated, you cannot do that anymore. Okay, there are so many different factory, different kind of thing. So in 1994, when the first OSHA Act was, the OSHA was introduced, it actually incorporated the philosophy of self-regulation. It means, I tak kisah apa you buat lah. You make sure your workers are safe. It's your responsibility. You yourself is safe. Your workers are safe. People nearby are safe. Okay, and you have to report, okay, any accident. You have to implement this. You have to implement your higher safety officer. So it becomes self-regulation. But the new OSHA actually, parallel to that concept, added in the philosophy of collaborated effort and the sharing of responsibility using the principle of prevention. Kalau kita boleh elak, kita elak dulu sebelum itu benda berlaku. It means kita elak during the design stage. Okay, if you have to design a light, okay, they're so high, okay, and the chances of going to change the light, there's a risk. Then you design the light at the lower level, or you design a device that the light can come down, you change and go up, which is very common now. Okay, so that was the principle. And it also talked about shared responsibility. It means it tie in whoever created the risk. Orang yang create the risk itu not necessarily the one who is operating. Okay, so whoever design, it means designer, principal designer, and the owner has to take responsibility in helping to mitigate, to avoid the risk with the principle of prevention. So here comes this new regulation. It was introduced at as a guideline in 2017, and it will become a regulation. The reason, one of the reasons that it is pending to become a regulation, because we need to gazette the new OSHA first. The new OSHA give the power to the minister to issue this as a regulation. So JKKP has advised us that it's going to become a regulation by next year. So these are practically what it says. Okay, the key elements of OSHIM, occupational safety and health in construction industry management, is practically saying that we manage the risk by applying the risk assessment approach and the general principle of prevention. So during design stage, kita boleh prevent. Okay, if we don't design this, kita tak mau ini element, then there's no risk. We don't design it. Or kalau kita boleh substitute. Okay, if this swing door open out can bang to somebody, we change it to a sliding door. So that's substitution. That's the principle of prevention. Okay, and then it says that the owner, you have to appoint the right people and organization at the right time. This simply says that if you appoint the cheapest one, but they are not the right person and the correct resources, you are against a regulation or law. This OSHIM is going to change the perspective, okay? And you cannot just not look at safety anymore, okay? And all the risk assessment is documented. So during the design, before the job is tender, for example, the design team want to eliminate the risk in temporary works by selecting certain method. So it is specified, put in the BQ, recorded the risk has been reduced from red color to yellow color. But then during the award, the owner agree with the contractor to save the 1 million, okay, we do not use that method. We use whatever method the contractor want to change. But when the contractor want to change the method, the law requires the contractor to redo the risk assessment and record it. If the risk assessment come back to the red color, it means you are doing something wrong. Okay, fair. There's no law saying that what happened if you do that. But this law, this OSHIM will hold you responsible if by doing so, there is really an accident happen. At that point of time, you cannot just blame the workers. Okay, the owner who agree to this change, okay, and the guy who promote this change, despite knowing that it increased the risk, okay, will all be charged as well. You know, so this is going to happen. Right? So this will change the regulatory framework, and you will actually change the industry, in my opinion. Okay, and finally, in my final slide, okay, there are several other elements that is quite important. Okay, in OSHIM, but anyway, we are not talking about OSHIM today. But OSHIM, why I mentioned OSHIM, because it's coming into the regulatory framework. And finally, the title of the webinar series talking about safe constructions. Okay, so when we talk about safety, okay, the philosophy, the hierarchies of safety, control, and management is actually 5 principles. The highest one is what you want to do. The lowest one is you have no choice. Okay, the only way you have to do, because you know there's a risk. Okay, so no choice, you have to wear the PPE. You have to wear a hard hat. Why you tak payah pakai hard hat dekat rumah, you kena pakai hard hat dekat construction site? Because you know that there is unavoidable risk. But that doesn't mean that apa yang akan jatuh itu tak akan jatuh just because you wear a hard hat, right? That is very passive. So that is the lowest reliable control. But you have no choice. At least it helps. Okay. Then what you want is, under the 5 principle of control, the best is the prevention principle, which is the top 2, elimination, substitution. And then engineering controls is necessary, and administrative control. But you look at the temporary works framework today, we talk about the regulatory framework we talk about. We actually now, as of current now, we actually cover it quite well. In Malaysia, we have all this at different level. The CIDB Act 520 is very much a administrative control that tell you that, okay, equipment yang you pakai itu mesti inspect, mesti ada marking, mesti ada PPS. But however, that administrative control will not avoid misuse if human itu tak ada di control. So to control the human, you need to have engineering control, you need to have procedural controls. So that come under the PETW role, the printer has is in the borderline between two. Why I put the printer has in the borderline is actually essential to engineering controls, but it actually specified the role with very little specification on the procedure. Okay, it specified a few things you need to do, but the procedure is well specified under the MSBS 5975. So with all these things, you gotta all good take this whole thing together. If you only have 5975 without a CIDB Act 520, the challenge will be there will be you will be always struggle with, you have good practice, but you will be always struggle with substandard product in the market. So if you look at the framework we have today, we actually well covered, okay, the engineering controls, administrative control, and then with the introduction of OSHIM, okay, we should be able to enhance the safe constructions with the prevention principle when OSHIM is introduced. And all this has got no meaning. It's going to change. It's not going to change anything. It's not going to save any life until every player, every single industry practitioner, me, you, really understand, really adopt it, do it because of the philosophy, do it not because you want to get a certificate, okay, do it because it is essential to achieve the safe work. So I think with this, I will conclude my sharing today. Thank you very much for your patience with me, and I think I ran over time a little bit, so sorry about that. Thank you very much. Intan, I will hand it back to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Engineer Louis, for your presentation. Very informative, and we have a lot of questions also for you. But I will ask you the questions after, during the Q&A session. Yeah, Engineer Louis.
Other question in the Q&A can
in the chat box, but I would really appreciate it if. Yeah, I mean, I will bring them up during the Q&A sessions later lah. So you can answer them during the
Q&A. I'm running.
I see. Okay. It's okay. That's okay. It's all right. You can answer some of the questions in the chat box if you want. Okay. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Engineer Louis, for your presentation. Now, before I introduce our next speaker, I think Engineer Louis and also yesterday's session mentioned that all the building materials listed in the force schedule, including scaffolding and also Falsework, must have PPS before it can be used at site. So to get PPS, your products need to get tested by accredited lab and also need to have a product certification by certification bodies. So our next two speakers will share you in detail about the testing and also product processes to assist you on how to get your PPS for your products later on. So now let me introduce our third speaker, Encik Ahmad Azim Abdul Rahim. He's a manager here at Construction Research Institute of Malaysia, CRIM. He joined CRIM in 2007 and as a manager upon completing his studies in University Malaya. He has been involved in research and development, R&D fields in construction and civil engineering for more than 20 years. In 2008, he was given the responsibility to establish a new testing laboratory for CRIM, involved from the early stage of planning, monitoring its construction, identifying the needs to the requirement of reliable testing equipment, installation and trial run of the facility. So in 2009, Makmal Kerja Raya Malaysia, MKRM, was fully established and in full operation, and also accredited by Standard Malaysia a year after. He is then appointed as the manager of Makmal Kerja Raya Malaysia and leads the overall operation of the laboratory. He holds a Bachelor in Engineering in Civil Engineering from completed his Master in Engineering Science from the same university in 2007. His area of interest includes structural engineering and designs and construction material testing and evaluation. He has published various publications ranging from books, peer reviewed journals, technical papers, and proceedings. He is also the quality manager for MKRM and oversees the implementation of laboratory quality management system to comply with MS ISO IEC 17025 2017 requirement. Currently, he oversees the operation of Mark Kerja Malaysia in Kuala Lumpur and also in Sabah and Sarawak branches. He is also a certified MS ISO IEC 17025 Scrim Accuracy Makmal Malaysia SAMM assessor with Standards Malaysian. So without further ado, I'd like to invite Encik Hazim to do his presentation.
Okay, terima kasih. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Puan Intan Diana, for the very kind introduction. Just let me check whether my audio is clear for everyone to hear.
Yep, very clear.
All right, thank you very much. And again, thank you for the opportunity given to me today to share with you, to be part of this webinar series. It's a very interesting topic when it comes to regulation of scaffolding and falsework in Malaysia. Previous speakers before me today and yesterday has presented a very broad information or presentation with regards to the implementation and regulation of the scaffolding falsework in Malaysia, especially with regards to CIS 22 and 23. And my topic today will focus more on the testing part of it. Okay, as you may have known from previous presentations, PPS is the most important when it comes to the regulation of these construction materials, not only scaffolding but for other materials as well as, in fact, for all material listed under Schedule 4 in CIDB Act. So without PPS, regardless you have the product certification, you have comply with all the testing requirement and whatnot, but PPS is a must. In order to get PPS, you must undergo testing, lab testing. Okay. So with that, before I start with my presentation, to share with you what we do in our lab when it comes to scaffolding and falsework, allow me to introduce just a few slides, a bit about our Makmal, our Makmal Kerja Malaysia, a little bit of introduction about CRIM. Okay. CRIM, or Construction Research Institute of Malaysia, was incorporated in 2004. The exact date is 26th of March 2004. Is a research arm of CIDB. We are one of the many subsidiaries of CIDB, but our main main function is on R&D and consultancy. But many people do not know that we do also provide technical services. In this case, inspection, testing, and certification. In general, we just now mentioned about one of the challenges faced in the current scenario in the construction industry is the inspection of the materials that you have on site. Okay, CRIM is one of our CRIM function is as inspection body. Okay, when we talk about inspection, not to be confused by the term inspection or inspector, and falls under the category of BOWAC, whereby they inspect the installation of the scaffolding installed at site. But inspector and the inspection body, the role and function is to go to the casting yard or to the place of origin, the warehouse, or even the construction site, to inspect the materials or the products or the accessories that you declared in the application of PPS, or the application of PPS. So this inspector is totally different from the inspection, because I see lots of questions from yesterday into this slide in today's seminar asking about this inspector. Okay, inspector in our case mean inspection body punya inspector lah, right? Okay, we send our inspector to the site whenever we receive the request from the client to come and inspect your products for the application for the purpose of getting PPS from CIDB. Okay, and apart from that, we are also a testing body, a certified or accredited testing body under Standard Malaysia. And also we are also a certified or accredited certification body. These three are under three different schemes under Standard Malaysia. Testing is falls under Scheme Accreditation Makmal Malaysia 17025, whereby certification body falls under different accreditation scheme by Standard Malaysia under the ISO 17065, and whereby inspection body falls under different accreditation scheme, which is under 17020. So CREAM, what I'm trying to say is that CREAM is your one-stop center lah. In fact, we have been assisting or provide services to construction industry, mainly for scaffolding and Falsework for the past almost 10 years, even with even before the CIS 22 and 23 being gazetted. Okay. And besides that, we also provide assessment and CIDB rating tools, which include QRSIC, MICRES, SHASIC, and Sustainable Infrastar. And we are also processing COA for CIDB, as you can see earlier during one of the corporate video that we played earlier before the presentation. And we also certified IBS product under CIS 34. Mr. Louis mentioned about impact just now, under the scheme construction product approval. And the usable formwork falls under this scheme, under the CPA scheme, right? Okay. My colleague Ashraf yesterday did show some of towards the end of his slide. He shared some of the process of the inspection. So I just have one slide when it comes to inspection. In inspection, we send our inspector to inspect construction material at point of entry, warehouse, manufacturing plant, or construction site, whether it's in Malaysia or is in country of origins. And the purpose of this inspection, one of them is to verify that the materials that you declared fulfills the requirement of standard as stipulated under Schedule 4 CIDB X 520. And at the same time, this inspector, they will take random sampling to be sent to the laboratory for testing. And this is part of the issuance of at the end of the day, they will issue the inspection report, which is part of the requirement for PPS issuance, right? Okay. And also, when it comes to, besides doing inspection for used product, some of the industry would like to bring in the materials through short-term, short-term basis or by consignment rather than a long-term basis by product certification. If they opt for that approach, again, CREAM will send our inspector through from our inspection body to go to the site and take up some samples and do some inspection at sites, right? Okay. Regardless you want to test, regardless you want to go by long-term approach or through product certification or through short-term approach by consignment basis, or to get a PPS for your used product, testing, laboratory testing is a prerequisite, is a must. So prior to issuance of product certification or inspection report or PPS, the product need to be tested in accredited laboratory, at least. So CREAM is one of them through our Mama Kerja Indonesia. So a little bit introduction about our lab. We call it MKRM. Is established in 2009, right? The main function initially when it was first established is to support CREAM R&D works, because CREAM is a research institute under CIDB. Okay. And of course, since we have the facilities, we support other CREAM services as well. In this case, inspection, certification, right? And on top of that, of course, we provide services to Malaysian industry players. Okay. Initially, when we first set up this lab, it is meant for big component testing or big scale structure testing or IBS component system. But at the same time, we do provide services for scaffolding, Falsework, material testing facilities, and whatnot. Most of the 90 plus type of product listed under Schedule 4, we are capable to do the test. We are able to do the test, right? Some of the slide that some of the photographs of testing products that we have tested, ranging from scaffolding until a big component test, a precast component, right? If you have, for those who have not been to our lab, it is located in Jalan Chansori in Cheras, and we welcome any of you who wish to visit this laboratory. But maybe you can contact Puan Intan Diana to arrange to arrange the site visit, because we do have a monthly site visit, a specific date that we located for interested industry who wish to visit this lab. We open to visitors to visit, but we need to have a specific date, because we cannot simply open on any other day, right? To protect the client's confidentiality and whatnot, lah, right? And yeah, some of the precast elements that we have tested, also some scaffolding components, or also components. And recently, we also embarked on a railway infrastructure testing facilities, right? Okay, now I also from time to time, from previous speakers have touched about the incident that happens on at construction site, maybe involve scaffolding or falsework, or perhaps other construction materials. From time to time, we do CRIM technical personnel or experts were also called to accompany CIDB to go and investigate some of the cases and bring back some samples to the lab for testing and verification, and we assist CIDB in coming out with their case, right? Okay, now I will talk a little bit more about what we have here that can assist you with the test of scaffolding and falsework. Now I zoom into the scaffolding and falsework testing. Okay, if you look in CIS 22 and CIS 23, these two standards, which were published throughout the various engagement with the industry players, particularly the in scaffolding and falsework. So I would say that this CIS document is very strong document to supplement other documents that Mr. Lewis mentioned just now, not only the standard, the MS1462, but also the document from DOSH as well as BEM, right? So the requirement of testing is stipulated in Appendix A and Appendix C in both CIS document, right? So we start with CIS 22 first when it comes to preferred A-frame scaffolding system. So this is the requirement of testing for A-frame. Okay, before that, I must say that scaffolding or falsework is a very unique material, not found in other construction product listed in Schedule 4, whereby because it involves a lot of testing, from material test to component test up until to the full-scale structural test, and it also involves tests to be carried out for new as well as for used materials. So it's a very, I would say, unique and interesting products that we have. I mean, our lab has been dealing with for many years, right? Okay, dimension test is one of the requirements, as you can see there under clause 5.1 MS1462-1. In fact, all the components must be verified. Their dimension must be verified by before. It is part of the. I mean, it's part of the requirement when we issue the test report, and of course the critical tests such as tensile test, for global bracing, for site protection, for toe board, all must undergo tensile test. Tensile test is a very critical test. It is fall under critical test lah. Besides chemical test, besides these materials is coated, so meaning to say that we need to measure the coating thickness. So and also the corrosion resistance. All these tests been carried out in our lab. We have the facilities or the machines that to determine these properties, right? And also we for vertical frame, some of the tests include corrosion resistant, cross-cut test, addition according to certain standard like ISO 9227 and ISO 2409, and also the deflection test for horizontal tube. Okay, regardless the size or the dimension of your vertical frame, all these must be tested to measure the vertical deflection as well. Right. And when it comes to cross brace or vertical frame, it needs to go through compressive strength test. Okay, so we have in our lab we have enough jigs of facilities that can conduct this compression test for any kind of any size of your cross brace, and of course for walking board. For walking board, they have a deflection and bending test as well as shear strength on the hook and clamp. This is some of the photos of the vertical tube as well as the board. So again, all these tests being carried out in our Chansalin lab. Okay, we still under the CIS22 for A-frame. All the accessories, including the adjustable jack base or adjustable U-head, or the coupler or even the wall tie need to undergo certain type of test listed in those annex under MS 1462. There are so many annex J, N, K, L, even L. They spread out. They divided into L1 and L2, and annex M for bracket load test. Okay, do you need to do all these tests? It depends. Okay, it depends on the whenever the inspector go to the site, it depends on the declaration or your declaration as well. And if the inspector or the auditor found out that you need to do this test, then you need to send the sample to the lab for testing. Okay. And of course, A-frame also we need to do full-scale structure test, 3 meter by 3 meter, and as well as 1 meter by 3 bay by 3 lifts, as well as 1 bay by 3 lifts, or we call it the 3 bay and single tower test, right? This is our all. These all are load tests. We apply load at certain point of the scaffolding, and we do it until it fails. So it is a destructive failure. It is a destructive test. So it is quite hazardous whenever we do this test. So normally this test will take some time to be completed, including the installation as well as the dismantling of the works. Okay. Again, for tubular scaffolding system, these are some of the tests that you need to consider. Chemical test, tensile strength. Of course, while doing tensile strength, we can achieve also not only the tensile strength, but also the yield as well as the elongation properties, right? And for tubular, we need also to measure the straightness on top of the dimension and the tolerance. And of course, another test is the flattening test, right? After, so we need to measure the crack properties of the tube. Okay, and again, similar to the previous one, we need to measure the coating, the quality of the coating, whether it's coated or galvanized or painted. And part of the accessories, including coupler, clamp, and fittings. So there are so many tests that need to be carried out: slipping force, failure force, indentation, pull apart force, cruciform, rotational. These are all tests associated with coupler or clamps or fittings. This is one of the many tests that takes quite some time to be completed because of the sheer amount of requirement listed in MS 1462. So one of the crucial tests, not only one of the crucial tests, but also one of the tests that take quite some time to be completed. Besides the corrosion, the corrosion test will normally take about 500 hours to be completed. So imagine, so The frequently asked question our lab receive is how fast you can complete the test. My answer is it depends on your products. So if your product includes coupler, be prepared for a longer time. We are talking about 2 to 3 weeks. If everything is in order, all right. Again, some of the coupler tests include slipping force, failure force, indentation, right? These are some of the actual sample that we have tested in our lab, as you can see on the left side of the screen of the slide presentation. Okay, and also strength test, slip test is a different configuration. Depends for even for swivel flange clamp or for put lock coupler, there are test requirement listed in several certain clause under standards. Okay, for put lock we refer to BS 1139, so it's a different standards altogether. And for even we use Australian and New Zealand standard for swiveling flange clamp. So usually we refer to this standard because of the absence of Malaysian standard lah. And part of the, as long as there is established standards in the world, we will follow the those established standards lah. Okay. When it comes to facade and modular scaffolding system, again, similar tests. These are all critical tests, dimension, tensile on the tubes, even on the stairways. Yeah, stairways also must be tested. They're not only on dimension but also on the strength of the stairways. Okay. These are the photo shows the load test on stairways. It must go. Actually, it's not a static load. It must undergone dynamic load to represent the actual performance of the staircase while under use at the site. Okay. And the protection also we need. The protection against corrosion and deterioration need also to be investigated, and of course load test. And the site protection and platforms and also their support need to be tested against certain type of tests, including downward loading, horizontal loading, upward loading. So, and of course, for platform, we have 3 different kinds of loading conditions: concentrated load with certain sizes, and also UDL, under uniformly distributed load. So it is not a straightforward test when it comes to scaffolding and falsework. There are so many tests that need to be carried out and considered, and of course need to pass before CIDB will issue you the PPS. Again, some of the photographs that highlights the actual test we conduct at the lab. And of course, okay, for modular scaffolding, we also need to carry out elastic buckling load factor. So basically, in order to carry out this test, we need to install a 3 base by 3 leaves modular system, and we apply load to each leg, and it is a destructive test as well. So whereby we capture the failure load, the maximum load, and compare it to with the design that has been submitted by the designers. Okay, for CS23 for falsework system, more or less the same. The critical test requirement is more or less the same, whereby we need to do chemical tests to determine the chemical properties of the products, as well as the tensile properties, which include yield properties, tensile, as well as elongation, right? And again, it's almost the same like CIS22, but there are some differences, right? For falsework, there is a requirement to do high tower test. This is one of the challenges highlighted by Engineer Lewis in his slide, because there are not many labs that is able to do this high tower test, right? Even in our lab, we are capable to do this test, but some suppliers, some designers, they come up with a very high or very tall Falsework. So there we have some limitations. So we have our limitation currently stands around below 6 meter. So the ideal height that we always give to the industry is about 5 meters. So you need to erect about 5 meter high tower in order for us to do the load test conveniently, right? And also, of course, some photos on the accessories like U-head and jack base. It is again as a load test, a destructive test. And one of the thing that mentioned in CIS 23 is the steel props, which is not available in CIS 22. But again, steel prop is a very unique material. It also can be found in CIS 24 because this is part of formwork system. So steel prop, they have a individual standard by itself, which is MS 1065. The test requirement under 1065 for steel props, there are 3 main tests, which include the actual characteristic strength test and also the pin strength test, and last but not least, the prevention against unintentionally is disengagement test. So test method for steel prop is well established. So if your products, if you're dealing with steel props, in fact, it can be certified by our product certification or certification body because there is an established standards for this product. And our lab is capable to do that as well, right? For others, even for the, again, for aluminium or adjustable telescopic aluminium prop, we are referring to the same standard as well, MSEN 1065, but also we are referring to BSEN 1031 for the testing requirement. But more or less is the same lah, right? And of course, similar to the CIS 22, critical tests include chemical tests, tensile stress, straightness, dimension, flattening, and whatnot. Okay. Sama juga global test procedure for Falsework for tubular scaffolding system. They fall under clause 13 of MS 1462 Part 2 Part 1 as -2-1 as well as Annex B or BSEN 12813 for high tower test, right? And again, sama juga, same for the accessories like coupler, clamps, and fittings. The need to do slipping force test, failure force test, indentation is spelled out in this MS 1462-2. Okay. All right. Okay. Besides doing doing the test in our KL lab, of course, KL lab is the biggest one with the most facilities. We do have 2 more labs in Kuching and Kota Kinabalu, which can accept your request from the industry. If you're in Sabah, in Sarawak, if you have this, because I know in Sarawak now it's very active with this in terms of usage of scaffolding and Falsework, especially when it comes to the oil and gas sector. You can approach any of our branch, whether it's in KL or in Sabah or in Sarawak, and or you can contact me through that email and phone number. Some of the tests we do have and we can offer in Kuching and Kota Kinabalu, but again, most of the facilities or complete facility, I would say, is in KL, right? But it's not really an issue. You can approach any of these 3 labs to get our services. So with that, I conclude my presentation. So thank you for your time. I pass it back to Madam Diana.
All right, thank you so much, J. Azim, for your presentation. If you have any question for J. Azim, you can write them down in the chat box. Okay, so now I'd like to invite our last speaker for today. Technology Syed Hazni Abdul Ghani. He is a certification manager at Construction Research Institute of Malaysia. He joined CREAM in May 2008 and appointed as test engineer under MKRM department. But in 2014, he has been appointed and given responsibilities to lead and set up a new department, which is CREAM Certification Services or CCS, based on ISO 17065-2012. He holds a master in civil engineering from University Technology Mara UiTM in 2016 and bachelor engineering in civil engineering from University Technology Mara as well in 2003. Currently, he is a professional technologist of the Malaysian Board of Technologies, a graduate member of the Board of Engineers Malaysia, Institution of Engineers Malaysia, and Malaysian Steel Structural Association. He represents CREAM as a member of the technical committee of Earthquake and CASCO under Department Standard Malaysia. In CIDB Malaysia, he involves in construction industry standard for RMC, CIS 21, and Falsework in CIS 23. As a certification manager, he is responsible to establish system, procedures and guidelines related to QLASIC, SHASIC and product certification and ensure the correct interpretation and implementation of procedures and standards in the certification process. As part of the management, he has a vast experience in developing ISO 9001-2008 for CREAM and ISO 17025-2005 for MKRM. He is a qualified auditor and lead auditor by International Register of Certified Auditors ISO 9001-2008 IRCA. He is also a technical assessor for ISO IEC 17025 under Department Standards Malaysia, a qualified professional and assessor for MICRES and SHASIC of CIDB Malaysia. So, Cik Syed Hazni, you can start your presentation now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Diana, for the very kind introduction about me. So, I think as the last presenter, I'm Syed Hazni Abdul Ghani. So I think every presenter already touched about this regulation, about the testing from the Cik Azim. Mr. Marwan already touched about this regulation, and also Mr. Luis already also touched about this standard requirement and so on. So my part, I think easy. So I just focus on the product certification. So I think this easy job for me. So I think I will share what what you need to get before you want to get the Kuan Permatuan standard from CIDB. You need to have the product certification from the certification body. Okay. Wait. Okay. Right. So as mentioned by Cik Azim, under the CREAM we have various of the department. One of the department under Center for Quality Assurance Certification. But today I'm only focused on the product certification. Whereas we already certification body ada Jabatan Standard, Department Standard Malaysia. For this topic, we only focus on the scaffolding. Okay. Okay. For your information, as mentioned by Mr. Marwan, all the material product listed under fourth schedule Act of 520 already amendment 2011. They have I think around 13 product. With the sub product more than 100, need to have the certificate of standard compliant, or in Malay they call Prakuan Pematuan Standard. So this is a requirement before you want to have the Prakuan Pematuan Standard from CIDB Malaysia. You need to get the product certification from this certification body like CREAM. Okay, this share one of the requirement where is in Malay they call punca kuasa. Under the Act 520, any product you need to get a product certification. Ada 33C 1, 33D 1 and 33D 2. Okay, so I think this already mentioned by Mr. Marwan. This is just to share to all the participants
which the punca kuasa we can put to get the certificate of conformity or perakuan pematuhan standard. Okay, what is a framework? Where is the you need to get product certification? Where you want to have the perakuan pematuhan standard? This is a framework that established by I think CIDB Malaysia. Whereas first, when your product have the listed under the fourth schedule, for example, the scaffolding, they have a modular, they have a tubular, coupler, and also A-frame. You need to get the product certification from the certification body like CRIM, because in CRIM we are one-stop center. We can do the product certification together with testing, as mentioned by Cik Azim. So this is good for the industry. In one window, you can get both testing result and also the product certification. Then after that, you need to get your perakuan pematuhan standard from the CIDB through the CCPM. Okay, you can go through the link ccpm.cidb.gov.my. Okay. For your information, currently all the certification based on the new instruction from the CIDB, all the certification only valid for 1 year. We want to tally up with the perakuan pematuhan standard, whereas every certification body same with the perakuan pematuhan standard certificate. Okay, this I mentioned earlier. How you want to know either your product need to have the PPS or not. First, you need to check your product either it is listed under fourth schedule or not. Then you need to do the product certification from the certification body, and also the testing must from the accredited lab. So then the certification body will give the product certificate. Then lastly, you need to apply the perakuan pematuhan standard from the CIDB Malaysia. So for your information, CRIM certification services, as mentioned by Madam Diana, we already established and also we get the accredited from Department Standard Malaysia ISO IC 17105 in 2018. We only the certification body that focus on the construction material. So for information, our product we look into the building material, construction material, and other product related to the construction industry, especially under the fourth schedule. This is our focus. Okay, what is product certification? I think some of you know product certification is one assessment party to fulfill the specified requirement has been demonstrated. We based on the ISO IC 17165, and also we based on the product standard. For example, the scaffolding, they have some requirement for the testing, some requirement of the marking. We need to look into this and comply with the requirement of the standard. So what the benefit? I think it's just to give you some idea. First, to confirm your product meet the regulatory and national standard. I think comply with the construction industry standard is very important because it is already regulate, confident, facilitate, and boost. These are some of the benefit of the product certification. So our expertise, as mentioned, this is our focus. We have iron and steel product, scaffolding, ready-mix concrete. But for this session, we only focus on the scaffolding. Okay. Okay, what is scaffolding? I think it is already mentioned from the Mr. Marwan, Mr. Luis also mentioned about the scaffolding, and also Mr. Hazim also mentioned about the scaffolding. So this is some standard you need to comply when you want to use or erect in Malaysia in the construction sector. Okay, we have a series of MS 1462 and also together with the CIS 22 and CIS 23. Okay. All this it is applicable to all local and foreign manufacturer. Either you as local manufacturer, you have factory in Malaysia, or you want to import from the other origin, you need to have product certification and also the perakuan pematuhan standard. Okay, I think this is the same photo like the previous speaker. This prefabricated steel frame in market they call as a A-frame. I think this is also mentioned by Mr. Marwan. Larangan penggunaan A-frame untuk kerja-kerja shoring. Okay, I think Mr. Marwan already explained very detailed about this matter. So this is about tubular, need to comply with MS 1462-2-1. This is a coupler. So currently, for your information, under the Ford schedule, we already add a new type of coupler. I think BS and ASTM. So you can apply also for the certification, product certification. This is a modular, some of the type of the modular system. Okay, this I would like to share to all you how you can get the product certification. Okay, the first, when you give an inquiry for us, we will issue the quotation. Then you need to do all the submission of the application. So when all the application is completed, we will do the document review. Why we do the document review? As a practice, as either the certification body, we need to make sure your readiness of the certification or your product, your documentation, your record is there. Then when your readiness is there, we will conduct the factory audit. So during the factory audit, we will do the product, we do the sampling. Then we need to submit all the testing to product testing to the accredited lab. So we have our own lab, Mama Kerja Raya Malaysia, with a full capacity for the testing, especially the scaffolding. This is good for the to comply the requirement for the industry. Then after that, we do the recommendation. For your information, recommendation is not the party that involve the certification, but the third party that will review and approve your product. Then lastly, we do the issuance of certificate. So the critical part under the process, it is under the basically for the readiness from the applicant. So if the documentation completed, we can do the factory audit, and then the laboratory, the testing part. These are two parts that are critical. For our side, this is a sample for the ready-made concrete. So I think for the scaffolding, it maybe can fast from this duration, I think. Okay, this is a general procedure for the product certification, as I mentioned. So everything, when after you get the recommendation and certificate, we have a surveillance audit every year. So every year, we will conduct the surveillance audit. We will do if you have some amendment on your resources or your material, we need to do the retesting. Okay, this is very important to understand about, because any changes of the raw material, the testing must be retest again. Okay. So we also have a complaint and appeal procedure. So if any complaint from the regulatory body, the user, we will take action as part of the certification body. Maybe we can either we suspend, we terminate your certificate. Okay. Okay, product certification, what we do under the product certification, basically we look into your product factory production control, quality system documentation. We also look into product quality, production quality control, production product calibration, handling of non-conforming product, and handling of the customer complaint. During the inspection and testing, what we do, first, for the inspection, we organize the mission for the formal evaluation exercise. First, we look into your measurements, test, gauge, calibration on your equipment already calibrate or not, valid or not. When we compare to the specified requirement and the standard for determining the whether the item or activity it is in line with the target. Mean the target, the requirement of the standard. For example, the standard say that you need to conduct the testing every 1,000 production, you need to have the test. So we will look into the record. We will do the verification. So for the testing, either you send the outside for the third party. We also look into your the QC check. in Malay inter quality check. So internal quality check, we will look into your requirement. Either you fulfill the specified requirement under the standard or not. Okay. So this just promotion. For your information, we will do the certification for the industry. We will support the industry together with our laboratory, because I know currently there are a lot of enforcement from CIDB. So I think this is good to have for the certification together with testing in one place. Okay. So I think that's all for me. If you have any question, you can contact me and also email to me. So my department only do the certification. I work together with Encik Azim for the testing part. So I think that's all. I pass back to Madam Diana. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Azni, and also to all our speakers. Actually, there were a lot of questions in the chat box, and most of them have been answered by technologist Ahmad Marwan and also technologist engineer Louis. But since we're running out of time, I think I just would like to ask maybe each speaker one question while waiting for any question from the participants. Okay. All right. So, Encik Syed, maybe can you share? I don't know if it's okay with you, like if you can share, your other services as well under product certification, and also for scaffolding, or in terms of cost, perhaps to get the product certification for scaffolding. If you can share a little bit with our participants.
Oh,
Can you hear the question?
How?
I mean, the cost to get product certification. Can you
The
share a little bit?
cost.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Okay. In terms of cost, our price normally very competitive with other certification body. So normally the price is between the 4,000 to 7,000. Not include the testing. Not include if the product not include the reimbursable cost. For example, we need to travel to the origin company. So all the cost is borne by the applicant.
Okay, thank you. And then to Encik Hazim. Encik Hazim, I have a question for you. I mean, you have shared that the tests that you can do for scaffolding and Falsework. Maybe the participant and also I would like to know, like, what are other tests that we can do in your facility, and if scaffolding and Falsework can the testing can also be done in your lab in Sabah and also in Sarawak.
In our lab, we can do many tests, plenty of tests on plenty of products. Okay. When we talk about scaffolding and Falsework alone, like I said, basically we can cover almost all, if not all, from material, components, accessories, as well as structure, full-scale structure. And on top of that, besides scaffolding and Falsework materials or products, we do have also big testing facilities that can cater for other industry as well. I mean, other product as well, like a precast concrete system. We can do tests up to until the longest sample of precast beam that we tested so far is about 17 meter in length. And the tallest structure that we have tested is a full-scale IBS 2-story house. It's a 2-story house. We tested it for lateral load. And of course, materials like iron and steel, rebars or BRCs or pre-stressing strand, and concrete as well, hardened or fresh concrete. And recently, we do have also facility to do tests for non-load bearing wall. If you are a producer of this party wall, to test in accordance with BS 5234, we have a complete facilities. There are 10 or 11 different kind of tests that need to be carried out under this standard alone. And like in my slide, latest facility that we do have is to test on railway infrastructure like sleepers. And inshallah, in 1 or 2 years' time, we are capable to do tests on other fittings on railway, such as railway tracks, railway fasteners, and railway connection as well. Again, to tell all the tests that we're capable of is quite is quite we do not have enough time to tell, but I invite you. You can arrange with us or have a formal visit. We always welcome industry to visit us, but it need to be done in a agreed date and time, so that it won't affect our testing schedule. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, thank you, Shazim. Yeah, like you mentioned previously in your slide, we do welcome everyone to visit our lab. Every month we will have visitors who come. So you can contact Azim or you can contact myself if let's say your company want to visit the lab, and we can schedule a time, appropriate time for you lah. So I want one question for Technologies Marwan. You're in the enforcement division, right? Maybe if you can share a little bit masa you buat the penguatkuasaan, usually lah kalau yang melibatkan scaffolding and falsework ni, apa penemuan yang banyak ataupun yang menarik lah yang di Malaysia? Sorry, mute your mic.
Ulang balik soalan.
Mungkin Teknologi Semalam boleh share sepanjang you berada dekat dalam enforcement kan, bila you buat enforcement ni, case-case ataupun apa yang selalunya terjadilah kepada scaffolding ataupun falsework, antara failure-failures yang kerap terjadi.
Okey. Seperti yang saya bagi tahu tadi, masih tahap kesedaran industri lah, terutama di pihak kontraktor, sebenarnya masih rendah lagi berkenaan dengan penyalahgunaan A-frame ni lah. Kebanyakan projek yang besar-besar pun masih terdapat kesalahan menggunakan A-frame sebagai falsework. Kan, bila tanya bila undang-undang ni kuat kuasa, itu yang selalu berlaku lah. Tapi kadang-kadang kita tengok juga macam contoh kemalangan LRT 3 dekat hotel dekat area Kelang. Kadang-kadang ada isu kemalangan, contoh ada lagi satu dash berlaku juga, dia punya pier jatuh. Antara punca-punca berlakunya kemalangan lah. Okey, dia guna bahan proper semua benda, tapi ada isu manajemen lah. Ada kes yang mana bila appoint designer tu tak turun site. Sebab kenapa designer tak turun site? Sebab fee untuk turun site tu tak termasuk dalam dia punya consultant fee. So menyebabkan dia design saja and then dia lepas tangan. So pihak kontraktor utama pun kena ambil berat lah perkara ni. Kan, even tu macam saya kata safety, bila saya cakap safety, bila involve safety ni, saya kata tuan rumah pun, kalau kita buat rumah lah, tuan rumah pun sebenarnya contribute, kan. You suruh pakai kontraktor pakai safety helmet, pakai kasut untuk proper, tapi pihak klien dia tak nak bear the cost. So macam semua sedia maklum lah, bila OSHIM berkuat kuasa pada tahun 2024 nanti, semua pihak akan responsible. Sebenarnya pihak CIDB ni kalau boleh kita tak nak ambil tindakan sebenarnya, kan? Tapi kalau sebab kita nak mencegah benda ni daripada berlaku. Sebab kalau dah berlaku, benda dah jadi isu, so CIDB terpaksa jalankan tugas dan tanggungjawab dia untuk menyiasat lah. Itu sahajalah. Terima kasih.
Okey, terima kasih. for your sharing. So ada soalan from Nur Idayu. I think maybe this is for Encik Said. What is the checklist or requirement to comply for the factory or warehouse audit for the product certification for reuse, scaffold or falsework? Okay, Encik Said boleh share? Boleh jawab soalan?
Thank you for this question. I think this is a very a good question because for your understanding, for the participant, they are two category of the product. First is a new, another one is reuse. So for new product, you can apply the product certification, as I mentioned in my slide. But for the reuse, you need to apply the inspection. Ada my colleague yesterday, Cik Ashraf, he do this reuse product. So maybe you can drop email to me, then I can forward your request to Cik Ashraf, or they will respond your request for the reuse product. Okay. All right.
Okay, so for reuse product, you can directly to contact Encik Ashraf lah, and Encik Said
Ashraf.
is responsible
Yes.
for new products.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, okay, all right, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's Encik Ashraf already
Cik
email.
Ashraf already respond.
Yeah.
inspection@cream.my.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay. Alright, so there's another question. Saya pun tak pasti. Anyone can answer this lah. Okay, daripada ST. Kalau untuk scaffold, kebanyakan masa ada masalah tentang screw ataupun anchor fail ataupun anchor loosen dekat job site. Yang ini adakah di bawah PETW govern juga? Support design cover di bawah CIS juga. Anyone can answer the question? And this question, I think it's more to Mr. Louis, but yeah. He has some other matter that need to attend, but it's okay. Saya boleh forwardkan this question to him, and maybe nanti kami boleh share with you his answer lah. I hope that's okay. I'm very sorry for that. Okay, and so there's no more question. It's already 12, almost 12:10. So I guess that's all for our webinar for today for session 2. So I would like to thank again to all of our speakers today, Technologist Ahmad Mauran, Technologist Engineer Louis Tay, Encik Ahmad Azim, and also Technologist Said Hazni for your sharing today. We hope that our participant can benefit from our webinar, and we hope that the speakers have answered all of your questions. If untuk yang soalan yang tak sempat nak jawab ni, I will try and forward the question to the speakers, the appropriate speakers, and we will get back to you. Alright. We will also share the presentation slide with all of you together with your certificates as soon as possible. Alright, so just check our email. We will send it to your emails. So before we leave again, can we have a quick photo session for memory keeping? So if everyone can turn on your camera. For today, we have over 200 people, same as yesterday. So this is the biggest crowd we ever had so far for a webinar. So thank you so much everyone for your support. Okay. And there's some of you who still haven't turned on your video. Okay, so you guys just keep smiling because I'm going to take a few shots here. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. All right, one more. Okay, 1, 2, 3.